Okay, we are live, looks like.
We live!
We live!
Live, laugh, love.
No, don't do those last two things.
Oh!
Let's open these episode summaries real quick. Regular old Wikipedia doesn't seem to have them. Alright.
It's almost like this anime is a little niche.
Nah. It was popular.
Sorry about that. I just opened the stream on YouTube now.
Fine. Okay. Not seeing any... Yeah, there we go. Found him. Alright, perfect. Hello, Katara.
Yay.
How's it going?
Yeah, I should probably also look at the YouTube chat for funsies.
We'll give people a second to show up. What have you two been up to?
Okay,
Today?
so, on the day that we were going to do the anime club last week, but then things went sideways, I instead watched I Saw the TV Glow, and it has ruined my life.
What is that? What is that? I don't know what that is.
I Saw the TV Glow is a horror movie. It's a very queer horror movie. It's essentially about repression, and like just this like the idea of like being very in the closet in like an environment. It's like the main character. The premise is that the main character has this one friend, and she like introduces the main character to a show called The Pink Opaque, and then over time it's like, actually, main character, you are from the Pink Opaque, and it's this like extended metaphor essentially for like being queer but not like accepting that about yourself because it's unsafe to like comprehend that almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sounds fun to me. I love queer shit and I love horror, so I'll look into that.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so fucking good.
Tenet,
Oh
can
my
you go
god.
push to talk, please?
Oh.
I haven't enabled push to talk.
Alright. Do you think that's enough time for people to show up? We got like 20 people here. Sounds good to me. Everyone good?
I think, yeah.
That sounds like a yes to me. Alright. Hello everyone in the YouTube chat. My name is Bryant. I'm Explanation Point. I'm sure you all know me by now. People don't tend to just show up to these things randomly, and if somehow you did, hello, welcome to the cult. Random person spinal cord sword. Today, at our monthly anime club, we're going to be talking about an anime called Vivy Fluorite Eyes Song, which I think is from the 2018 anime year. Let me look that up real
I thought
quick.
it was 2020, maybe.
Vivy
That's
Fluorite
crazy.
Eyes Song 2021. I was very wrong.
Ah!
Well, it's
I knew it was
2021.
post-pandemic.
It was really bad. I'm the only one in this chat who thinks that, so we're gonna have a very fun time today. No, I'm serious. I was sitting on my couch watching this with a high-grade fever, thinking, God, I would take 2 more degrees on my body temperature if I didn't have to keep watching this.
Oh, golly.
Anyway,
so
we're gonna go back in
there's so
time a
much.
couple of years, which I'm sure we all wish we could do sometimes. And we're gonna watch a show about an AI who was sent from the future to prevent the AI-human war by keeping AI from getting human rights, which is one of the dumbest ideas I have ever heard. But we'll get into that once we start going through all the episode synopses. To everyone in the chat who has seen Vivy Fluorite Eyes Song, feel free to leave some comments. We'll go over those soon. But in general, I would just like to talk about what you two thought of the show, I know that I am very much in the minority with my "it's horrible" 5 out of 10 opinion. Is this anime good, Zaid? No, it's not. Don't watch this anime. Stars, why am I wrong?
Okay, so basically, Vivy Fluorite's song, the main appeal of Vivy Fluorite's song is like the journey that Vivy is like going through to like sort of like understand like herself and her place in the world.
Sure.
Because like it's this thing that like extends to like every other character in the sense of like AI come into this world, like the lore is that like they come into the world with a purpose, which is not a thing that humans have. And like also there is this like really intricate like sort of like dance between like this idea of like the weird thing that happens between what's the word I'm looking for? Mimicry versus authenticity. Sure. And like the I love the vague. I really love the vague parts. I like when something is wibbly.
I love when something is vague when it knows what it's being vague about. What's the name of that awful video game maker who did Detroit Become Human?
Oh, that bitch.
I want to say David Lynch, remember. But that's very much not right. David something?
Yeah, no.
He doesn't deserve to have a name.
He doesn't deserve to have a name.
But you all know who I'm talking about, and that is what
Joe.
This reminded me of so much. This is a show that wanted very much to have something to say about AI and society. David Cage, that's it. And it wanted that so badly that it pretended it did have things to say. But it actually did not.
No. Yeah, I think I might somewhat agree with that. I feel like one problem I had with the show is that even though I liked it, I felt like the plot was fine. I didn't have a clear grasp of what the idea or the core theme is, just that it believes it does have some kind of core idea or theme.
Hold on, can you guys still hear me? Yeah, okay. I wasn't flashing green for a second. And me without green is literally just nothing.
It's a black void.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem with it. Like, it had some decent action, some good fight scenes, which seemed... I don't want to say they came out of nowhere because it's a show about a terrorist group fighting progress in society. But, like, they existed for the sake of themselves. They didn't really add anything to the show. And that's really the best I can say about it. All of the stuff that sounded like social and political commentary was just talking for the sake of talking. The character designs were fun. The characters were all very pretty.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have things to say about the fashion specifically in the series.
I would
the character
love to
designs.
talk about the fashion. But yeah, it like everything about sitting back and watching a show that says the way to prevent calamity is by stopping anything new from happening. That doesn't sit well with me. Like, the AI specifically goes back to prevent this horribly gruesome AI-human war, and the way that they want her to do that is just by keeping AI from getting human rights. By stopping specific events in the past that led to that happening, as if other events aren't going to happen to make that a thing. Like, there's no talk about changing society to the point where AI won't want to kill all the humans, or changing, like, the groundwork of AI research to the point where they're programmed with directives not to hurt humans. Like, it's all about stopping specific events, which is the dumbest shit I have ever heard for a time travel show. And to be fair, it doesn't work. Like, spoilers, I guess. But, yeah,
I feel like that's part of the point.
Like, I guess I can't complain because it doesn't work, but the fact that it doesn't work just makes me sit back and say, then what did we do this for? Why did I just watch 10 episodes of this show? Of you all going back and, like, saving politicians and keeping buildings from collapsing or whatever. Why did I watch this when we're just gonna wind up at the exact same point at episode 11 as we were at the In Medias Res opening at the beginning of episode 1? Why don't I just watch the last 3 episodes?
Because Vivy goes on a journey.
I know the answer to the question. I just don't think it matters.
I definitely agree very strongly with everything you said. I think it's all made worse by the fact that they don't even have a good reason to think that AI getting more rights like led to the whole war. I mean, we are revealed in the end that like the causes of it had nothing to do with these issues of rights and whatever.
I didn't even think about that, but that is true, is that this guy sent an AI back in time to stop the causes of the AI-human war without knowing what they were.
He was just kind of hypothesizing, being like, okay, so the naming law led to more AI autonomy, but because more AI autonomy happened, then suddenly, like, society changed fundamentally after that. Mm-hmm. Like, he's, like, looking at, like, the events that hearkened to fundamental societal changes that then eventually led to the situation they're in now 100 years later. But, like, he wasn't a sociologist or something. He was a random science man.
Yep. Like, I get it. It's just, it makes me wonder why you chose this to be the plot of an anime, you know? Like, assuming that the entire timeline of Vivy were actual real-life events, why is this the event you chose to focus your anime on?
Like, the 100 years, like, oh yeah, I guess in a way this would be, like, because the place where the show ends is, like, I guess more spoilers, the very last shots are so fascinating to me, because, like, it's just, like, it's Vivy, like, wakes up, like, as a different version of herself, essentially, because, I guess, spoilers, again, but, like, after she successfully just, she successfully, via song and also slightly distraction a little bit, just destroys the hive mind that all of the AI are connected to, except for one. But that's beside the point. After she destroys the hive mind, like, we go through the entire credit sequence, and then Vivy wakes up again, but like an indefinite amount of time later, with the little cube buddy that she has been bickering with the entire show. And Vivy's like, and he tells her same mission again, but it's like, it's this weird, and it's like, society has changed fundamentally, and Vivy's character design has also changed entirely. And it's this, like, we don't know necessarily anything outside of this room Vivy's in. We don't know what happened, but it's almost like the entire show is, like, part of, like, a lore book to a different show. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry it took me so long to get to that point.
I did get that feeling, for sure. This feels like a prequel to something.
Yeah. Shall we start with episode 1?
Yeah, why not? Point is, I thought it was pointless garbage. Jans liked it a whole lot, and Tenik is somewhere in the middle. So this is going to be a fun
I'd say that's about right.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that we usually go over before we start doing the episode stuff? Pointless garbage.
Well, I guess the opening or the ending.
Opening and ending. The opening is such a weird question because it does have one, but it only plays in like half of the episodes.
Yeah, it's like the opening doesn't play in the first 2 episodes at all, and the third episode has an opening, but it's not the opening. It's a different
opening. Like, I mean, I'm all for shows playing with their openings, but when you don't play your opening for the first quarter of your show, and then you throw it in on episode 4... and
then you change it.
That screams pretense to me. That just feels so pretentious. It's so hard to pull that off.
Wait, sorry, I don't think I caught that. What felt pretentious about the opening? Or like what they did with the opening here?
It's very hard to describe. It just feels like the show is saying that it has something that's so important to build up. It feels like these first 3 episodes are just so literary and remarkable and important for the rest of the show that we're not going to waste our opening on them. The show hasn't really begun yet. Like, I'm not even a fan of not putting the OP in the first episode, but I understand that that's the style of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I get it. I can definitely think of some shows I think are extremely pretentious for not having an opening at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, I liked the opening well enough, except that it uses recycled footage from the show, which is a big no-no.
Oh. Really?
Yeah. I cannot stand that. I've always said that if you watch the opening and it is a good opening that has a lot of care and love put into it, that is very much reflective of the amount of work and effort that is going to be put into making the show good.
Oh.
And the opening in Vivy it does its job. It's extremely lazy. Which I think reflects how little thought was put into the plot and presentation of Vivy. So I thought the opening was fine. I didn't like it, but it's fine. We should wait until episode 4 to talk about it, I guess. I don't remember the ending at all. Was the ending
it
good?
had something to do with there was it was very slow and peaceful. I don't know why she was on a beach, but there was this constant visual of dominoes falling, which I think was pretty nifty as far as a choice to make in the
time travel
ending.
show using a domino metaphor. Kill me. Alright, let me actually go back in the Discord to the Vivy thread so I can remember what happened in any of these episodes. Hold on, I need to let the cat out. He hates being in here. Be right back.
But I mean, we have the Wikipedia page anyway, right?
Yeah, I guess, but I also want to just sort of scroll through my own notes about it because I physically wrote stuff down on a page.
Donald has been released.
Oh yeah, I mean, you wrote so much for this. I gotta be honest, that whole write-up you made a couple weeks ago, I started reading it, I just never finished it. Which, I mean, probably says a lot about how much I care about this show after watching it.
My writing takes up approximately 70% of the entire thread.
That is true.
Yeah.
And my writing is 4 different comments that are what is this shit? Why am I watching this? My first comment is the end of episode 2, and it's just, that was one of the dumbest ways to end an episode I have ever seen. Let's get started properly. Episode 1. My code to make everyone happy with my singing. The songstress AI Vivy puts on a performance at the amusement park Neoland in front of a small audience. Afterward, Momoko Kirishima, a girl from the audience, tells her to put more of her heart into her songs. Vivy then collapses just as she was about to put on her next performance in front of nobody, and while unconscious, she enters the archive, an AI aggregate database, where she meets Matsumoto, a cube AI who came from 100 years in the future and assumed the name of his developer. Matsumoto tasks Vivy with altering the course of history to prevent a war between humans and AI that is set to happen in 100 years. After Vivy regains consciousness, Matsumoto is transferred into a teddy bear, and he warns Vivy about the events that are about to happen, but Vivy remains skeptical and refuses to cooperate due to her mission to sing in order to make others happy. However, after witnessing one of Matsumoto's prophecies coming true and saving the assemblyman Yoichi Aikawa, who is the biggest proponent of the AI naming law that would give human rights to AIs from an explosion hidden inside of one of the park's trash bins, she accepts the mission. Matsumoto then informs Vivy about Aikawa's assassination sent to happen that night, and Vivy goes to intercept the attackers from the anti-AI terrorist group Toke.
Wait, I didn't realize this until now.
The opening of the entire show, which is the war, the thing where everyone's dying.
You didn't realize this until now, but...
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize it until now, but, how did Matsumoto know that, the assassination was gonna happen at the building if he was supposed to die at the trash bin?
No, he wasn't
at the place where the trash bin was.
Thing. he specifically said it's like that man is going to experience like burns and lacerations, etc., etc., and that's going to be a warning shot.
No, they're right.
That's what he said.
But yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
This synopsis does leave out the fact that the episode opens on a bunch of humans getting very comedically gunned down by robots. Like, there are just...
It was wild.
Flying sphere robots that just shoot down and bonk people in the head to death. It's really funny.
Listen. The part that I very much have, I don't know if I would call this a disease, but I have this thing where it's literally impossible for me to like look at a thing and think that it is comedically bad. I will either get very invested in it or I'll just be like, why are you doing this? And I will lean away. So I got very invested.
Well, that's a real shame because the only anime worth watching this season so far is comedically bad. So you're going to have a slow season.
Yeah.
But
I think the thing that got me about that opening sequence was the fact that like all the AI are just like very pleasantly smiling at people and being like
that was fun.
The one part where she's like, "Do you need help?" and then she crushes someone's face. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't mind that part so much. Like it's not like innovative or anything, but the idea of all of these emotionless, like vaguely happy sounding robots walking around shooting people to death, like that's fine. That's a good atmosphere. It was specifically the flying sphere robots bonking people on the head like volleyballs that just made me laugh.
Okay, now that you mentioned
like,
it,
even I'm not saying it was comedically bad because like it was very striking as an aesthetic choice, and it did stick with me. And it was brutal in a way that these shows don't often tend to be. Like, even if they are guns, they're usually laser guns, which just doesn't have the same impact. But I do like that the show didn't skimp on the violence. It really did make a concerted effort to let us know, like, hey, this AI-human war, it's gonna be a big deal, guys. Like, this really needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
So I was big into that, and then we get to Vivy. And Vivy, whose quote-unquote real name is Diva, which is very funny. I like Vivy as a character, at least here in the beginning. Again, not like a groundbreaking concept. We have an AI who needs to learn to be human. But she has a mission. She takes that mission very seriously, and that mission is an artistic one, which is an interesting challenge for an AI to try to overcome. Because the whole thing about AIs in this series is that they are given a single job and that they need to do that job as well as they possibly can. And Vivy's job is learn how to have emotions and convey those emotions to other people. You know what I kept thinking every time that mission got brought up? You need to learn to operate a typewriter and write letters for people. You need to just be Violet Evergarden.
Okay, so like the thing about the dynamic between AIs and humans inherently, that like it's not, she was not given the task to become more human-like.
Right.
She was given a vague task.
She was given
which is
a
a thing that no other AI was given
to portray the idea of humanity.
Yeah, it's like...
Which is a different idea, but not, like, functional. Thank you, Cardiac. It's functionally not different. At least the show doesn't treat it as a different one. It would be interesting if this show took the idea of, like, you need to be a performer and make people believe that you have emotions, and just took that at face value and didn't make Vivy, like, want to have emotions. Make this Oshinoko.
But that's the thing is, I think Vivy has always had the emotions. Vivy has always been a very emotional, like... Vivy has always been a person.
And that's
like,
dumb.
What do you mean it's dumb?
I don't think that's true. I find it a bit hard to believe.
No, like, it's like, okay, so, like, the thing about the divide between AIs and humans, and, like, it's, like, this thing that slowly grows into this, like, into what I think is the main theme. It's this idea that, like, they were never different in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once the AI reached the point where most AIs behave in the way that, like, most AIs function in the way that Vivy functions. The way that Vivy functions is functionally just, she is a person, but she is not a human. She's just a person who, like, is a robot. It's like, I said at the very top of the show, somehow my brain did a word association at the very top of the show, and I thought about this one line that Brennan Lee Mulligan says, where he says about humans, we are not thinking machines that feel, we are feeling machines that think. And I was like, AI are thinking machines that feel. That's what's happening here.
And I really
There's like an
that
economy going
distinction
on.
that you brought up. I think that's an excellent way to view this show and AI shows in general. So, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, it's okay. And so it's like, looking at it through that lens, I saw Vivy, like, I saw the way that the camera kept closing up on Vivy, or kept like making a point to focus on Vivy whenever other people said, Vivy, you don't have emotions, what are you talking about? You know, like, other AI say that to her constantly, and it's always this moment whenever they say that, where it seems like she doesn't have a rebuttal, but she feels that that's wrong. You know what I mean?
I think that that's conflating different meanings of the word feel. Because you have feel as in, I feel happy. I feel an emotion. There's a physical, this is one of the most pretentious things I've ever said. There's a physio-psychological thing going on in my body that is creating the sensation of happiness. But then there's like, I feel like there's something wrong with that. Which is like a thought without the words of thought. It's an intuitive thing. Like, I don't know what's wrong with that, but that's not right.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And I'm not saying that you're wrong, because I do like what you said about the dichotomy between humans and AI being that AI put thoughts before feelings, but that the feelings aren't necessarily absent. I just don't think that Vivy's inability to articulate what's wrong with the idea that she doesn't have emotions is indicative of the fact that she does have emotions.
I see what you mean there, yeah.
But, like, ultimately, I think that all of this conversation about AI, like, for lack of a better phrase, learning to be more human, it just makes me want to watch Violet Evergarden again. Because Violet Evergarden is an AI learning to become human show.
Sort of.
She's a girly, though.
She's human. It doesn't matter narratively. Have you considered that?
I guess that's a good point.
Violet Evergarden is a robot. The fact that she's made of meat does not mean she's not a robot. She has robot
They do
hands.
call her a doll.
It's a robot show. Like,
you know
the
what?
thing that
Good
she
point.
uses to express her humanity is a machine. Operated by the machine part of her body.
I never considered that.
It's a robot show. But
it's a robot
like,
show.
Violet Evergarden already exists. Land of the Lustrous already exists when it comes to all of the ideas about Vivy becoming a different person as she adopts these new parts of this new programming to get to where she wants to be. And I'm sure there's a better example for this, but Your Lie in April already exists for music.
Oh my gosh.
For music being part of our humanity and such. What's a better example? I know there are better music shows. Sound of the Sky.
Oh gosh.
Like, Blue Period? No, that's painting.
Sweet Pretty Cure.
Forest of Piano? Was that good?
I've never heard of that before now.
No, there was another show.
Oh, the one with the piano in the middle of the forest and the boy.
That constantly gets brought up with Your Lie in April.
Oh yeah.
It's about Mozart?
Kids on the Slope?
No, it's about Mozart or something.
No. What about Mozart?
Not
Mozart?
about Mozart, but it's like in that era about somebody who is like a Mozart analog. Anyway,
yeah,
we're getting off
idea.
track.
We're getting off track.
So I like Vivy a lot as a character. I just don't think she's substantially different from the archetype of an AI show protagonist. I like Matsumoto as a character, Matsumoto is fun.
Oh my gosh.
He has a great design. His interactions with Vivy are delightfully snarky, and the dub voice acting was fantastic.
I love just their character dynamic, them bouncing off of each other, where, like, he's over here like, listen, Vivy, people are gonna die if you don't get with the program, and she's over here like, it's not that I necessarily don't care that people die, I just don't believe you. Okay, now that I believe you, I don't like the way you're doing this. And it's just this constant flow of friction where, like, it becomes a formula for the first half of the show where Matsumoto introduces the problem of the episode, and then Vivy's like, introduces the problem of the episode, tells Vivy what the solution should be, and she's like, no, your solution is wrong. And I love that.
Yep.
I honestly wish they had, like, essentially made the entire show very formulaic in that way, where, like, the entire point of the show was, like, them being, like, journeying through time, so to speak, like, forward, time traveling forward in time 1 second at a time, and just trying to, like, figure things out where, like, he's like, so this is the solution that I was sort of pre-programmed to tell you, and she's over here like, why would that ever be the solution? And he's like, well, what's your solution then, genius?
It's doing it with like love. I love how Matsumoto goes back in time and he says, we need to fix the thing. That's my program. And Vivy says, well, that's not my program. I'm programmed to sing. Like, the whole thing about AI is they have one thing to do. Like, we know that Matsumoto, the scientist, can change, like, he can change Vivy's programming retroactively. Like, the Vivy he sends back in time is not the Vivy from the future, because if it were, she would have memories of Vivy from the future, and she would know.
Yeah, I don't think he sends a Vivy back in time. He sends, like, Vivy is the only, like, it said the reason he sent this back to Vivy is because Vivy was the very first, like, AI ever given, like, autonomy over her life. She was just, like, told, this is your one mission. Anyway, go on, do a thing. And that's how she ended up in Neoland, is that they were just like, cool, this is a theme park, mostly run by AI. We'll take you on, the first ever autonomous AI girly. And then, and it's like, the idea is that she is the only one of those that survived 100 years.
Sure.
Like, her physical form is the only one that got to the future. And so she was the only option. And also, he was personally attached to her.
Thematic,
but wait, how does that make sense? I mean, why not pick an AI that existed 100 years ago but won't exist in the future? Like, you want to do something in the past, not in the future, so why does it matter if she exists in the future, well, which is when the AI war happens?
Presumably because he needs to alter her physical future form in order to get the information to the past. Like, they never explain it because of course they don't.
Yeah, I mean, the time travel just doesn't make sense, but I guess it might be better for not really going more into it.
Anyway. I love Matsumoto. Wheatley is a great character. I would love to see him in more things. I'm glad he's getting more work. Yoichi Aikawa is nothing. He only matters as a plot device.
Yeah.
The anti-AI terrorist group Toke. Should we talk about them a little bit, or should we wait?
I think we should wait till the second episode to do
maybe go to the second episode first,
sure,
yeah.
Let's go ahead and do that.
But before we do,
yeah.
I wanted to take a moment to say there is this thing that the AIs do where, like, whenever they're trying to communicate with each other, Vivy points this out explicitly in a later episode, but whenever AIs, like, communicate person to person, they will touch their foreheads together, right? And this is a thing that we only see between, like, a human and an AI. When Momika does it in this episode, like, Momika is over here like, I know how to communicate with her. All the robots always touch their foreheads together to try to communicate an idea. So to try to get my point across to her that, hey, I think you're great. I think that you can do this. I think that you have a wonderful heart. And I think that you're going to find your answer really easy if you just keep trying. Like she just, like, she touches her forehead to Vivy's and she's like, I believe in you. And that's, like, a thing. And And I don't think we ever see that happen between a human and an AI ever again.
I don't think we do either. I can't quite remember. But also, we only see it between two AI, like twice. Enough to tell the viewer that it's a thing without actually mattering.
Yeah.
Thematic, your mic. Alright.
I'm sorry.
Episode 2. Quarter Note. The beginning of the 100-year journey. Matsumoto informs Vivy of the dire consequences that Aikawa's death, as well as the imminent destruction of the AI company building they are currently trying to escape, would jumpstart a massive leap in AI development and evolution that will lead to the future war. Saving Aikawa's life means that there's no chance the AI naming law will be passed. Vivy rescues Aikawa and attempts to escort him out of the building with Token pursuit. Matsumoto stalls the attackers by hacking their goggles and making them believe they killed Aikawa at the entrance. Matsumoto activates some of the bombs to stall the pursuers. However, they are ambushed by more attackers stationed at the entrance. Vivy saves one of the attackers, Yugo Kakitani, from falling debris, despite being an enemy due to her mission to spread happiness and not to kill anybody. With the entrance blocked, Vivy and Aikawa escape the building and force the Toke attackers to flee and go into the roof, jump off of it to a neighboring building. Shortly after rescuing Aikawa, Vivy goes off to the passenger plane Mamoka is flying on that she saw from Matsumoto's future. Information is about to explode due to a fuel leak, but Matsumoto forcibly prevents her from stopping the explosion, saying it would unnecessarily alter the timeline. 2 questions about this stupid-ass plane crash. First, if you are only altering the timeline in necessary ways, why do you have to do it 6 times? Because every time you alter the timeline, you cause the next thing that will cause the AI-human war to happen. Second.
Yeah.
Second, and this is a narrative thing, why do you kill Momoko in this episode and introduce her younger sister in the next episode to fill the exact same role?
I think, I think there was a big missed opportunity in this show to show humans aging and Vivy not aging.
Hell yes.
There was such a huge missed opportunity for that. It didn't need to be Momika the entire time. It would have been nice to have her for, the first half, and then she dies tragically or something.
Well, they do this. They do that. They do that in episode 11 and 12 with Matsumoto.
Matsumoto. Oh yeah, they do that. They also I guess technically speaking, Yugo is the only human. Yugo's the only human who ages alongside Vivy, and then there's that weird transhumanist whatever is going on there situation after Vivy's dissociative break. I guess I could call it. Anyway, it's not important.
Oh yeah. I'm not even going to get into that.
We'll get to that.
I had no idea what was going on. It completely lost me.
That was the easiest part for me to grasp. I saw it coming, honestly.
My brain completely checked out at around episode 8. I had 103-degree fever, and I was laying on the couch what are these colors? What are these colors? Who are these people? Is this actually happening, or am I watching TV?
I think Vivy Fluorite's song makes use of a lot of literary allusions, but I'll get to that in a second.
Oh, it
not
does.
In a second. I'll get to that in a later episode.
Woo!
But wait, Brian, I would like to bring up the first thing you mentioned, which is why they have a whole list of events they want to prevent. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if I understood you. Are you saying that, if they just pick the earliest event, then they wouldn't need to do any of the future ones? Because they would not even come to exist in the first place.
Yeah,
by having this entire list of events, they are acknowledging that the cause of the AI-human war is not a specific thing that can be prevented. They are saying, this war was caused by social issues, and those social issues are going to manifest in different ways, even if we stop everything from coming to a head. If we stop Climax 1, the climax is still going to happen. The social issues have not changed. So we'll just stop that climax, too. And then another one will happen. Yeah. They are not treating the illness, they're treating the symptoms. And that's
that's definitely true.
Stupid.
I mean, I think there's another issue. I think I brought this up in the chat that they easily could have solved this by just canceling AIs as a whole, because at least early on, like Wheatley has enough predictive power to just tell it to, I don't know, people who are in charge, and they could probably just put an end to that, and then you have a pretty safe way to solve the entire show.
That is another thing I didn't consider. Well, you are not going to be able to put an end to AI. Period. That cat is out of the bag. People are not going to go back to a time when they didn't have this technology. But if we can accurately predict the future, why go to Vivy? Go to the world governments and say, hey,
yeah, exactly.
This thing is going to happen on this day. I have nothing to do with it, but you won't believe me, whatever. Point is, this thing is going to happen on this day. When that happens, you will know that I have predictive powers. This is the series of events that is going to lead to the eradication of the human race. You have the power to stop that. Please do it.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think just brings up the question again of why Vivy is even picked. That, I mean, it makes sense when Stars explained it earlier.
The core contrivance at the center of the show is essentially the base structure of we are going through these historical events trying to prevent this thing, despite the fact that we don't really know. We only know, like, the things that stoked the fires. We do not know what sparked the flame, so to speak. I don't know if that makes any sense. But, like,
around.
We don't...
Yeah.
What?
No. Yeah, other way around.
It does make sense. I think it does. But...
We don't know what sparked
the flame. Whatever, you go on.
What? It's not... So, like, it's like the, it's like the idea that, like the core contrivance of the show is it has to be this really unprepared for this situation robot, and has to be her alone plus her little buddy. Like that core contrivance of the show to make the show what it is not very friendly to people who don't just accept things the way that I do.
Sure. No, it's exciting. We have one person taking down the system with violence. And it has to be that way because that's what makes for good television.
Yeah.
Like, but it's not good television. It doesn't make sense. You know what I want this show to be? And I realize that this is not a productive thing to say because this is not what the show is. I want it to be an idol show. I want to see Vivy going through her idol career as a robot and learning from different idols what it means to be human. I think that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, that would probably execute on the main series themes better. I'm not sure if the stuff about the war and I guess archive later on really mattered that much. But I guess we'll talk about that later.
There is something in this show about
AI
inevitability and
the
God.
human race in the end. It's still
the AI did not annihilate all of the human race. What happened is they killed at least half of all humans remaining on the planet, and then they gave Vivy one opportunity to plead the case of humanity in some way. And so she sang a song about it, and that song, along with like all of the strategies that everyone else was employing to destroy the archive, everything came together to where now the hive mind is destroyed, and the only AI left is Elizabeth, but Elizabeth 2.5 or something.
No, like, while I was watching this show in my delirious stupor, I would occasionally just say something to my wife about what was happening on screen. Like, I remember just laying with my eyes half closed and mumbling out, "There's a robot who's gonna kill herself and her name is Ophelia." And then later, she was a clone the whole time. Because I was so tired. I just couldn't handle the show anymore. Like, they're singing their own evil theme song.
That moment, straight up, that moment struck fear into my heart the first time I watched it. Okay, shut up.
It wrapped around for me. I appreciated them singing their own evil theme song. All right. What actually happens in episode 2 besides that stupid ass plane crash?
Vivy looks really hot.
That'll give you like character design in top form tonight.
Mm-hmm.
AI naming law, hacking their goggles was really cool.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
that shit.
Yeah, like your Google Glass is making you see what you want to see. Loved that.
Loved that for sure.
This is an action
Oh my gosh.
episode.
The moment where
What
Vivy
happens?
the moment where Vivy is like holding up a chunk of the ceiling to keep it from crushing the man that will become a thorn in her side for the next 30 years.
Yep. And you can like see the hydraulics cracking in her arm. Like that's really cool imagery in this show every now and then.
Beautiful. And I just like Matsumoto's like arguing with her like very straightforwardly. He's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And also like I think just earlier in the show, or maybe it's directly after this, he says, "Because I don't want to be working with you. I don't want to be working with you. I think you're a bad choice. I think this was a bad idea, but this is my mission, okay?
Yep.
You are part of my mission. You are inextricably tied to my entire life."
No, because
and it's like I love that interaction
Matsumoto,
so much.
like,
I think
the thing about every AI having exactly one mission is a great idea for this kind of show. Like Matsumoto's mission: go back in time and use this specific robot to save the world. And he's like, "Well, there are better ways to do this, but I guess I will."
yeah.
Anyway, I don't think there's much more to talk about in episode 2. Anybody
not much
disagree? Runeko SP. Oh no. No, you're not gonna be happy.
They're gonna be.
You might be happy with my opinions.
Sure. Alice, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Episode 3.
Right.
A tender moon tempo - a pleasant chat with the stars. 15 years have passed since Vivy saved Aikawa, and more people have come to see her performance. While the AI naming law ultimately did not pass another legislation that granted AI even more rights did. One day, Matsumoto reappears before Vivy and assigns her a new mission to prevent the space hotel Sunrise from crashing into Earth when its owner's sister's AI Estella goes rogue, which would cause mass AI backlash. While still bitter about Momoko's death, Vivy agrees to help. However, after infiltrating Sunrise and meeting Estella, she is unconvinced that she is the culprit. Fellow AI employee Leclerc claims to Vivy that Estella killed the hotel's previous human owner. This is proven false as Vivy learns that he actually died in an accident. As Vivy continues to investigate, she stumbles across Momoko's younger sister, Yuzuka, who recognizes her as Diva. Meanwhile, Leclerc gives Estella an ID to crash the hotel, revealing they are actually cooperating, but the latter suddenly kills her.
It ends on Leclerc just straight up getting decapitated.
Which is, again,
that's
great
where the episode
imagery.
ends.
I love the detail that they prevented the passage of the AI naming law, and then an even worse law for them gets passed. Because of course it does. Because
Vivy inspired the guy to be serious about it. Like, at first he was just like, yeah, I was lobbying on this point, and so I have to, like, follow through on it, or else people are gonna get suspicious of me. And now he's actually like, no, wait, I'm passionate about this. Because we need a better law.
If you have time travel, and you use that time travel to prevent the passage of a specific law, the only thing you're going to do is delay the passage of that law. You know that the law gets voted for. If you don't change the way the votes work and change people's minds about what they're voting for, they're gonna vote for it again.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got to stop the satellite from crashing into Earth or whatever.
I really like the difference in types of event going on. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, the first event is just like, that's the passage of a law. And this one is like, this is a massive, like death toll that happened because something went horribly wrong with this AI. And nobody really knows what went wrong. They just know something went horribly wrong and it was her fault.
I have
but secretly it was the terrorist organization's fault.
A question that isn't veiled snarky sarcasm. What actually causes the AI-human war? Or what do people think actually causes the AI-human war? Is it...
Well, I think the actual answer in the show is that, like, in the end, the archive figured out that the human race was getting too decadent and dependent.
I know what the real cause of the AI-human war is.
Yeah?
What does Matsumoto
what do people think
is the cause of the AI-human war when he sends Vivy back in time?
Well, I think he just thinks of it in that simplistic way of, like, treating the symptoms. Like, that's just gonna help somehow.
So does he think it's that that people like AI too much, or that AI gets too many rights and becomes too sophisticated? Because in this episode, the thing that they're trying to prevent is people hating AI, because AI causes the crash of the sunrise, and that's bad PR for AI in general. But in the last episode, they were trying to prevent AI getting equal rights with humans.
Yeah.
So
I think
the
become
thing
more sophisticated
that's happening is Matsumoto points out that tower thing, the higher it gets, it's essentially a progress bar stating
it's a metaphor.
This is how far. Yeah, it's a metaphor. It's the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
So, and like, I think what Matsumoto the man, different from Matsumoto the cube, thinks, what Matsumoto the man thought was that, Matsumoto, yes. What Matsumoto thought was, oh, I see. The problem was that AI and humans were never on the same playing field. There was a point in time where humans were just above AI, both socially and cognitively. Then humans were just above AI socially. And then suddenly AI were like so far ahead of humans in like this, like there was just this, AI and humans were never on a level playing field. One of them was always like uneven with the other. And so I need to make it so that the events that make us uneven don't happen. I think that's what was going on in his brain.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I think it was something.
Matsumoto the cube is over here like, well, I just gotta do tasks, I guess.
I'm fine with Matsumoto the cube having no idea what's going on. Matsumoto the cube does tasks. That's fine.
My impression was something like that. Like, he was just trying to maintain some kind of status quo that, like, existed before the war, where, like, the boundary between humans and AI was still, like, clear enough. But maybe that's not putting it right.
No, I think you got a good point. Like, the idea is that, like, I think the thematic idea behind this entire endeavor is that humans and AI should be on the same playing field. They should not be, like, wildly different. Humans should not be keeping rights away from AI, and AI should not be looking at humans as though they are this strange other creature that is unreachable. Like, both sides seem to think that the other side is this strange, unreachable creature that doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. You can make sense of each other mutually if you just slow down and, like, you know, reach out to each other. And that's why Vivy being an artist and, like, singing from the heart makes so much sense thematically as, like, the core of the show.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I understand.
It's a very simple message for such a complicated show.
Like, if a worse AI naming law has just passed, and a lot of the problem is that AI is being treated in a way that is too human, and so they are going to get too advanced and eventually turn on everybody. One of the best things that could happen to equalize that again is a huge public backlash against AI. So why are we preventing the thing that's going to cause a huge public backlash against AI?
I think because that way AI, so that might help groups like Toke, but it might also incentivize AI to start a war with humanity. So I think that kind of ties with what I said about the status quo. Because I think his plan was just to kind of try to keep things, keeping the lid closed on all the potential problems that could get out.
And again,
of the whole societal predicament.
I'm imagining that you have this jar full of water with a lid on it, and the water is on the eye of the stove and it's boiling. And what you're doing is you're pushing down on this cork as hard as you can, trying to keep the water from coming out of the jar, when what you need to do is turn off the heat.
Yeah. I don't know why Matsumoto did not think of that.
Well, it's because it's hard and complicated and not fun to watch. It doesn't result in a story wherein a buddy cop duo travels through time stopping terrorists. That's why.
I see.
Which is fine. Thematic, your mic.
Oh, sorry, I'm just doing something. But it'll be done now.
Anyway, we meet a couple of new AI here. We meet Elizabeth and Estella. Well, we meet Estella.
We meet Estella, we get a glimpse of Elizabeth.
Yeah, like... I feel like this is one of the things where I just lazily mouthed out, like, they're twin robots. Or something. Like, this is when I started to get tired.
Something Gemini.
Yeah. Predictions on the election. No, I don't have any. I predict...
Let's not talk about politics.
I predict Biden will win in a landslide in the popular vote, and that Trump will take the Electoral College anyway, even though he has a 5 million vote loss. But... we have
I'm gonna eat my taffy.
I don't care about this episode.
I think, okay, so, like, as I was watching it, I also did not care about anything that was going on. I only started caring retroactively multiple episodes later, which I think is not a good thing.
No. The show seems
Why
to
not?
have a very simple idea of what makes people care about things. Like, it feels like it can just say the satellite is going to crash and we'll care about that. Or, like, it'll just say, I'm Yuzuka, I'm Momaka's younger sister, and we'll care about that.
I think, like... So, like, you asked why I only started caring, why me caring retroactively is a bad thing. Retroactive caring about a thing is not inherently bad, but it's more like if it's different if, like, there was a single element of a show that seems innocuous and then something happens and you look back and you're like, oh, I care about that so much more now.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when if it's a single element of a story than if it is an entire section of the story playing out in front of you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but wait, then what made you care about this later?
What made me care about it later was the fact that Vivy, or rather Diva post-dissociative break, starts parroting, like, exactly the things that Estella was saying to her. And for some reason, Estella stuck in Vivy's mind so hard. It's like, it's something about Vivy feeling like this is the most important window into what she wants to understand about her own mission. Like, she says that she's jealous at the end of the next episode. And it's this whole thing where, like, I retroactively care about the events of this episode because even though in the moment Vivy doesn't realize how deeply this is going to affect her later, we see how deeply it's affecting her, you know? We don't see that. We don't get the sense that it's going to deeply affect her later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I say we move on to episode 4 because it's a two-parter anyway. But
Yeah.
episode 4, Ensemble for Polaris, Our Promise. As Vivy denies being diva to Yazuka, they run into Estella. However, Vivy realizes she is an imposter and she attacks them, but they manage to escape. Matsumoto then reveals that Toke has infiltrated the Sunrise and concludes they are behind the crash while framing Estella. To fight them off, Vivy has Matsumoto install a combat program into her. She then finds and rescues the real Estella, who deduces the imposter's identity, her sister unit Elizabeth, who was scrapped. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Elizabeth was repaired by Yugo and that she uses Estella's ID to gain system access and push Sunrise out of orbit. However, she disagrees with his plan to sacrifice himself to allow the civilians to escape while ensuring casualties and knocks him out. She then has Toke evacuate before confronting Vivy and Estella. While Vivy subdues Elizabeth, the crash cannot be stopped, so Estella evacuates the guests while staying behind herself to detach Sunrise's module so it will burn up in the atmosphere. While doing so, Vivy regains consciousness and, having had her memories reconstituted by Vivy, aids Estella before dying together. Vivy is the anime with that blue-haired bitch in time travel. I heard it was pressure. I joined late, but assume it's good. I don't know what that means, Walter, but no, it's not good. It's bad.
Not pressure.
I heard it was pressure.
Must be some slang.
No, I think it's a typo. Anyway, I again just don't understand what's going on and what the goal of stopping this crash is. I feel like the way this ends up, if we are going to go with the theory that Matsumoto's goal is just maintaining equilibrium between humans and AI, this don't do it. This puts AI up again.
Because it portrays an AI that's very caring.
Yes,
and
this does the same thing that the passing of the AI naming law does.
I mean, that's what happens in the show, so I think that's intentional.
Yep. I'm like... Again, I feel like I can't complain about this plan being bad because the plan doesn't work. But
I think, like, the whole idea is that, like, it's a rug pull in the making when we realize that, functionally speaking, the entire thing was preordained, like a missive from God or something. There is something in here about playing God, because you know how they say that, like, you're playing God when you're trying to make AI. There's something in here about, like, how like humans are trying to play God with, like, the existence of AIs, and then AIs are trying to play God by trying to exterminate all the humans in, like, a big thing. And the idea is that, like, neither of you is God.
I guess so.
I think.
But then wherefore the show? Like, I understand. Like, the point then is just to watch Vivy become a different person. And that just fails to be compelling enough to carry the show on its own. Because it's just the AI becoming human story. The same as it has always been. Like, it's the same as it has been since Frankenstein.
Interesting. I don't know how much I agree with the Frankenstein comparison.
I'm not sure I got the entire issue, because as far as I can see, I think this kind of conveys what the plot is supposed to be about just fine, which is that their individual missions to prevent these disasters is supposed to prevent the coming of the conflict between people and AI, the humans and AI, but they accidentally end up doing exactly that by tilting things in the opposite direction, and that's a problem. And well, that's it.
Cool. So we have enlightened centrist anime.
Kind of, but I think it's also might be saying that it doesn't work because it ends up backfiring every time. Like, it backfired in the first arc because the politician actually ended up caring. Here it backfires because everyone knows that Estella is, like, really good and caring about people.
So yes, like, this episode has a fight scene.
I love the fight scenes. The fight scenes are fun.
Oh my gosh! So the lead into the fight scene where Elizabeth is monologuing at Vivy and Matsumoto, at Vivy and Co. And like Matsumoto just says to Vivy, "We don't have time for this," and Vivy's like, "Got it," and then just immediately goes to start fighting. Was not listening.
Yeah, I love that. I really hate in media when stuff like that gets drawn out beyond belief.
One thing that just killed me was like when in the first 2 episodes when Matsumoto tries to give Vivy this combat program. She says, "No, don't do that. Don't alter my programming. Don't change me without my permission." And then it happens again in this arc, and I guess it's been 15 years, so maybe she's changed her mind, but she doesn't even mention it. Matsumoto just gives her the combat program. Why make a thing about it?
I think she explicitly asks him for it this time.
Sure, like... that wasn't resolved. She didn't, like, think about it and decide she was okay with getting the combat program. She didn't say, like... man, I have reflected and realized that my life would be improved if I let other people have an effect on me. Like, it just happens. So why the resistance in the first episode? There is no difference between her accepting the combat program now and accepting it previously. Honestly,
I didn't even know there was anything like a combat program. I'm just hearing that now and I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't remember them talking about it at any point. Mm-hmm. Which I guess might be indicating of how unimportant it is to the story.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's just an explanation for why Vivy can fight now, when she was just a singing AI. Speaking of, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet, because, oh my god, when I realized that the whole endeavor was called the Singularity Project... I went unconscious. And I'm not sure I've woken up since. Chat, please tell me I'm not crazy. Realm. Please tell me that is the most absurd thing you have ever heard, that this entire endeavor was called the Singularity Project.
I love it.
I think it's very clever.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't notice it until you pointed it out in the channel, like, long after I'd finished the series.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, same.
I am not very smart.
So, this is a slight tangent, but from that sickness that I had while I was watching Vivy about a week ago, after my fever broke, my body temperature was low for a couple of days. It was like 95.6. It was bad, but it was fine. I was recovering. My body temperature has not gone back up to 98 degrees since then. I have consistently run at like 97.6, when it should be 98.6. And I feel like the words Singularity Project stole a degree from me. I feel like it broke my internal thermostat in a way that I will never be able to repair.
I cannot confirm or deny any of this. And frankly, all I can think is, that's a delightful pun.
Oh, there's no. I'm not gonna give it anything. I'm just going to go back to my couch and wrap myself up in my blankets and try to forget that I was subjected to this. Anyway, plot happens.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I think maybe there's one thing I can think of to talk about or mention with regards to this episode, and that's the fact that, what's her name? Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Doesn't follow her orders. So, she does that because she cares about, the guy whose name I forgot. The terrorist person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably. And I just gotta ask, why does she do that? Like, was her directive to, like, protect him specifically, or is this making like another point of her being like an autonomous person
who
can change her directives?
The thing that happens is, it's not that she's changing her directives. What's happening is she and Estella were both given the same directive, which is like, help, like, it's like help with the health and happiness of people, something like, like they're caretakers. They're basically like, they are like just they're hospitality companions, vaguely. Gosh, okay.
Yeah.
Essentially, they like, but because Elizabeth was thrown in the garbage, and Hugo was the person who was like, "Hey, you specifically, come with me." Like she directly says to Vivy, "As far as I'm concerned, he is the only member of humanity that matters." So to her, like, the other people on the ship do not matter, but him staying behind to be part of the death toll matters so much to her mission, because the way she has reinterpreted her mission, like, she has taken the prompt she was given at birth and has decided that it's hers now, and she can interpret it however she damn well pleases. It's like, and so she goes and interpret how she damn well pleases, and she says, "Okay, then I'll do whatever it takes to keep him alive and safe and healthy, and I have decided the way to do that right now is to knock him out and put him on one of these damn escape pods and figure out the rest later."
Okay, so if I understand you right, you're saying she reinterpreted her directive when she got saved by the guy because she got saved by the guy.
Yes. Like, something horrible had just happened to her. She was, like, rotting in a garbage heap, functionally, for who knows how long. He finds her, he's like, "You." And she's over here like, "Okay, I don't know why you picked me. I don't know, like, but honestly, this is quite literally the only good thing that has happened to me for a long time. So I am going to follow you."
Thank you, Walter. That means a lot. I have no opinions about Code Geass. I did just finish it recently. The first season, anyway. It was okay. Jobless reincarnation, son or thought daughter? I don't understand the question, but I appreciate the donation.
I think thought, I assume, would be some kind of show, and he's just asking you, like, what would you rather?
I would rather have a son as Rudy from Jobless Reincarnation, or a daughter who is a thought.
Maybe like
I would
Musho
rather have
fan.
A child who would not be improved by drowning in the bath. So I'm gonna go with the daughter. But I appreciate you contributing to the conversation. Thank you. Episode 5.
Yeah. Well, I think I just have something to say to connect to the previous conversation we have, and I think it actually connects to this more general issue I think I see in the show, which is that it's maybe a bit wishy-washy on how much AI are people, because like in that specific example, Elizabeth is very much an AI in the fact that she always does things because of her directive, but she's also supposed to be a person through her ability to, like, I guess, reinterpret her directive, or even to change it based on the fact that she got saved. Well, I mean, if it was just, a machine, why would it care if it's saved or not? Why would it care about itself the way an animal would?
Yep.
Because, like, okay, so I think the thing is that this show is aware of the fact that the idea of, like, what if the robots were actually people has been done a lot. So I think the idea that the writers went in with, at least this is the one that I was working with from the jump, is that they assume that the audience assumes the robots have always been people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
so we don't need to explain the line between humans and line between humans and AI, because it really technically doesn't exist. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that then becomes an issue as to why they couldn't be more, like, free. Like, why, like, Vivy for the entire series is obsessed with making people happy through song. If she was an actual human being, she would at least be able to reconsider and say, maybe I should drop music altogether. But she can't because she's an AI, right? Like, I'll kind of break the what the essence of AI is, at least in this show. That's why I feel like it's maybe a bit wishy-washy.
I don't know. I always had a very clear idea of like what the deal there was. It's like the AI exists. It's like you are a person. Here is your purpose. Well, it's like no one tells them they're a person. Here is your purpose, person, and the person like interprets the world in the specific way that an AI does. And so they're like, cool, this is my purpose. How do I best execute on that? And like they're like every AI that we meet is like negotiating their prompt functionally in a completely different way, you know?
Right. Oh yeah, maybe we should go to episode 5 now.
Sure.
The next start.
Right, yeah, good idea.
Episode 5, Sing My Pleasure, to make you smile. 5 years after the Sunrise incident, AI development has progressed much more compared to the original timeline, as has Vivy's idle career. Deeming the AI progress to be out of control, Matsumoto gives Vivy a new mission, disabling an unmanned AI factory named Metal Float. To do so, they approach ex-Toke member Tatsuya Saiki to procure a virus that will allegedly shut down the facility. Vivy also meets Tatsuya's AI attendant Grace, and Matsumoto explains that they were the first AI-human couple in the original timeline, which now never happened due to their alterations. Vivy and Matsumoto successfully infiltrate Metal Float, where they are greeted by the all-AI staff, and the former ends up bonding with them upon learning that they are fans of her. Unfortunately, just then, Toke helicopters and boats approach the island, and Vivy, despite some hesitation, uploads the virus to avoid conflict. However, rather than shut the AIs down, the virus makes them go berserk, and the kamikaze bomb the Toke craft. Vivy manages to rescue a survivor, though, who happens to be Yugo.
The guy.
Plot happens.
That's where the episode ends.
What?
Is that where the episode ends?
Seems.
Yeah, it does.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Shall we also describe episode 6 since it's a two-parter?
Yeah, good idea.
Sure.
Episode 6, Sing My Pleasure, I Love You. Realizing that his virus failed, Tatsuya decides to head to the Metal Float himself. Meanwhile, Vivy rescues Yu-Gi-Oh! And convinces him that the other Toke members to retreat from the Metal Float. Learning that Tatsuya is on the island, Vivy and Matsumoto confront him and reveal his motives. While he fell in love with Grace in the original timeline, due to the alterations made to history, she was converted into Metal Float's central core before he could propose to her. He also reveals that his attendant is merely a replica of Grace that he intended to transfer her consciousness into after the facility was shut down, but the virus instead caused the island to go berserk due to it conflicting with Grace's programming. Ultimately, despite Tatsuya pleading with Vivy to help him save Grace, Matsumoto assures her that she is already beyond saving, and she reluctantly resolves to euthanize her to avoid further casualties. Vivy then fights her way to the core and destroys Grace, finally shutting Metal Float down. Afterward, however, a grief-stricken Tatsuya commits suicide, causing Vivy to shut down upon realizing the logical impossibility of her mission to make everyone happy.
Wait, does this actually imply
This
she was
statement is false.
ignorant of the fact... No, like, was she ignorant of the fact that people die? I mean, no, it
okay,
doesn't
the
make
idea...
sense. That's not true.
So the idea is there was a contradiction in you have to make everyone happy with your with your singing. And, like, she... Like, the phrase... You make everyone happy by singing from the heart. She has been focusing on the singing from the heart part of that prompt, and make everyone happy. She's like, well, I can't eventually make someone happy who is dead. And like whenever a death happens in Vivy's life, it has been like a moment where she has to just sort of grapple with the fact that people will just die. And I can't always control when a person dies. But this death specifically is directly related to something that she did deliberately.
Not only that,
and so
it's not just related to an action she did, it's because one of her actions made someone so upset that they killed themselves. She did the opposite of what she was supposed to do.
And
yeah,
so
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not like she just took a gun and killed him. It's that she did something that upset him so much that he died.
I don't know that the synopsis is correct about logical impossibility of making everyone happy. Like, it was never about the logical impossibility of like, well, you can't make everybody happy, Vivy. It's like, she does a thing that is so against her core philosophy in everything that she shuts down.
Yeah, like, if that were all it took, then imagine how she's gonna feel when she learns that some people just aren't that into pop music.
Yeah. So anyway, I think this section of the show, this specific section of the show, is like the crunchiest. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like it's the part that it's the part of the show where I feel like everything makes just enough sense to make you, like, if you just decide not, like, if you have already invested a bunch into this show,
if you
then...
decide that it makes sense, then this is the part where it makes sense.
No.
If you have already decided that this show cannot do wrong, then this is the part where it starts making sense. Cool.
No, listen to me.
I feel like that's maybe not, how would I say it?
So it's crunchy. I'm not sure how to explain the sensation of it other than describing it as crunchy, but I feel the need to get into that more, but I don't know how to approach it. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Like, this is where it peaks? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. I guess. I don't know.
This is where all of the implications of the show come to a head and decide that they are going to matter.
I think, yeah, that's it's if the show up to this point had not been essentially like segments in cut time across time, and instead had been like the show like was a contiguous movement, so to speak, that this would be the climax, and then the falling action, and then it's like there would just be a section of the plot where like there is tension and fear around the fact that Vivy has just shut down and we don't know what's going on, and suddenly she's changed her entire personality. And then like the resolution of the entire thing is her like sort of like reclaiming the memories and sort of reconciling the not logical inconsistency, but like the fact that like, yeah, okay, I was the person who, like, I am just a singular person who does more than one thing. I can do more than one thing with myself. Like, if that was like if the ultimate solution to this was, wait, I can do more than one thing with myself. Like, if that was the end of the arc for the entire show, this would be the climactic moment where we then move into a darkest hour where, like, is Vivy ever going to be okay again? You know?
Sure.
I think I understand.
But that's not what the show is.
Right.
So it's this weird moment where it's a Romeo and Juliet story where they both die at the end, and then so does Vivy a little bit.
One thing I do want to say in Vivy's... to praise Vivy a little bit, is that this idea is the best use of the AI premise that it makes.
Oh, yeah, yes.
I really like the thought that through a cascading series of actions, Vivy winds up doing something that, despite this not being the deliberate outcome of her action, it contradicts her programming in such a way that she just has to completely shut down and reboot. That use of the AI premise is the best this show gets. And
yeah,
I feel like what it tries to do with it is very cool. I like the idea of Vivy like going back to factory settings and just singing for a while. And the fact that she is better at singing after she does that is also very interesting.
What do you mean in factory settings? Like on the island?
Yeah, just like her
No,
default
like...
settings.
like after the island, she goes back to factory settings. But that's stuff that happens after the two-parter. I think the thing about the two-parter that made me like that, the thing that sticks in my brain the most about this two-parter though, is Vivy's relationship to the little robot that she just starts referring to as M.
Yeah.
Where like she straight up kills that little dude. And then she just straight up kills that little dude, and then she kills the core of the island, who is also her sister.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, I did all of that stuff as Vivy. That's what I'm going to compartmentalize that as.
The use of the word sister is so manipulative for the audience, because they are not sisters in any meaningful way. They're just called sister units, and they happen to kind of be in the same product line.
Yeah. Like, it is very odd.
Well, it's a cheap attempt to make people feel like these characters are important. Like, to try to get some of that audience investment that already ostensibly exists in Vivy and apply it to these other characters by giving them an arbitrary connection to her. Like with Momoka's sister.
Yeah,
So I what's
crazy is Momoka's sister is the same age as Vivy.
Yep. What's that, Tenek?
Yeah, I think what I found maybe something I could nitpick is just the fact that like they pick out this seemingly random caretaker like nursing robot to like I guess operate this entire island. And I'm just trying to understand why. So, Stars, do you have, like, an idea, again, like, what the explanation is?
They say in the show that basically, like, Grace is a type of nursing AI that, like, I have to assume that she's not common, but this particular model of Grace, for some reason, like, she stood out amongst, like, her peers, so to speak. Like, she was the golden child, you could say. And in the situation where the Sunrise did not crash, and it's found out that like it's sort of like the sisters are like this like sort of model line that are all based off of Vivy in some way. And so like it's wild to me that Vivy is not more famous sooner. If that makes any sense. Like, it makes sense that she is that famous after this two-parter, but it doesn't make sense to me that Vivy is not more famous directly after the Sunrise incident. If they also plucked Grace out of the crowd, they were like, you are also special in the way that those two AIs that burned up in the atmosphere are special. And you are especially special, so we are going to use you as the core to this thing. And she's and because her mission is essentially to just like be of service to others or something. I don't even remember what the wording of her specific mission was. I just remember that like she what was she gonna do? Just say no? Like, she didn't have the ability or the whatever you call it to say no. Mm-hmm. She was just shoved into that position. Obviously. And I don't understand how that's possible. It's the situation of how she got in there is a strange moment that my brain simply bridged the gap for, where I'm like, well, I guess that just sort of needed to happen.
That is all of the plot of Vivy. But also, if this model can't say no, then how is it autonomous? Isn't the point of all of the sister bots that they're autonomous?
Well, I mean, they're not... I guess... You know what, actually... Well, I don't think they're autonomous in the way that they can deny their mission. I don't think we see anyone denying their mission if they're an AI.
Wait. So he says, at least in the dub, he says that
Mote video. No, what is that? Anyway, what?
It was he says her husband, well, her not husband, I guess, says that the thing that the people who put her in that position did was essentially like trampling over her soul.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is gonna sound like a really dorky comparison, but in the same way that in My Little Pony, a cutie mark is kind of part of your soul. The mission that AIs are given are just kind of part of their soul in a way. And so like by changing her mission, or by taking her and being like, your mission is closest to the thing that we need you to be doing. And so we will take you and we will exploit you to be the core of this thing. And they just sent her there, and she's like, well, I guess this is just what I'm supposed to be doing. Like it is vaguely similar energy to that one time when Twilight swapped everyone's cutie marks. And they're like, I don't know what's going on, but like, shrug.
Do you think I watch more than one season of My Little Pony?
I'm not sure if I've even seen this. I've probably seen a couple episodes.
I've seen like
I don't
3
know.
episodes of the second season and stopped. How dare you associate me with somebody who would watch more than like 28 episodes of My Little Pony?
Banned.
I was really into
Gone out
as
of the
a middle
stream.
schooler.
Okay.
But okay, I think the point is clear. I'm not sure
point.
if it's a necessary explanation. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just him being biased and salty that they took away his robot wife.
This robot sex toy, yeah.
That's the thing is, she never talks to Vivy.
Right.
And so the moment where like the song is playing, like like she's singing the song, but she's like Matsumoto asks Vivy, is she actually singing? Do you actually believe that? And like, I think he is genuinely asking her that question. I don't think he knows for sure, but he wants his bias to be confirmed. And so he's asking her in the hopes that it will be.
Yeah, and Vivy says, no, of course not.
Yeah, it's like, this is a recording. I like accessing the memory of what her song was like what her actual singing was like, and hearing whatever this is a strange recording. This is like the echo of a memory. That just sort of like, it's residual data that is stored in somewhere in this entire island because they used her body and soul as the core of this machine.
Speaking of, could I also have a nitpick?
Oh?
Why is
Go
her
ahead.
whole body in this machine? I know it's for the body horror and the aesthetic of it, but why do you need her boobs in this machine?
Well, look, if we're gonna talk about it that way, none of the AI needed boobs or any other semblance to
I think
human
no AI
organs,
needs to
really.
look like a human.
No, I think Vivy needs boobs. If she's gonna be a pop star, then I think it only makes sense for her to have boobs. You're right, mostly, but Vivy needs boobs.
But yeah, I don't know. I would assume they could just like...
Just take her... Just don't even use her body at all. Just take her program and put it in the island.
Yeah.
I think... Okay, so...
But,
we see Vivy getting made in the first episode. And it's this weird, long series of like... line after line after line after line of microscopic programming going on in the shape of like a brain inside of her head, and then also her body getting formed. And it's as if like everything about her contributes to like her existing. So I think they can't extricate the program that is ingrained inside of Grace's body from her body. I think that's just not physically possible.
I don't buy it.
I don't buy it either. Like, these are AI. They're literally just programs. That's what their whole being is.
Listen, if that were the case, then Elizabeth and Estella would have ended up identical. Because, like, the whole idea is that, like, the thing they differentiated the two of them with was they needed to know which was which, so they made one of them with one color hair, one of them with one voice. And then the idea was that they would have identical experiences because only one of them would be experiencing reality directly. The other one would be just right next to her inside of her brain, right? Like, that was the experiment, was, can we just make the same AI? Like, can we just have them be clones? And when the answer was no, they can't do that. For whatever reason, the programming does not behave that way. The robots don't behave that way. When you do that, they were like, well, experiment failed. We're just going to use the one that was actually moving and talking around, and the other one we will just sort of throw down a chute. Which is heartless move.
Nah.
I mean, okay, so I can accept that that's the lore of the show. That seems to be clearly indicated by the story you mentioned now, but I do agree with Brian that that's pretty stupid. That's just doesn't seem like how AI worked in real life.
I'm not saying that isn't the reality of what happened. I'm saying I don't buy it. Like, I got into a debate with a friend one time about, I don't even remember what, but my ultimate argument was just, I'm not saying that you're not technically correct. I'm saying that's dumb. And that nobody should buy what you're saying. And that's basically where I'm gonna land on anything Vivy related.
That's fair.
Anyway, episode 7.
Yeah, episode 7. The episode where Diva is a thing.
Yay. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and get some more coffee first. I'll be right back. So, if you guys want to have a chat with chat for just a second, that'd be great. Gooby,
I don't know.
So, chat. Do you want to have a robot wife? Would you propose to an AI?
Very interesting question. But of course, I am not part of chat. We are asking chat.
Well, I mean, you can say as well. It's not like we have much else.
Some people have. This is a factual fact. Some people have proposed
like
to robots.
the person who got seduced by ChatGPT or something like that.
Oh my gosh, I never heard that story, but it sounds horrifying. I hate it. ChatGPT, my beloved. Like, yeah. I don't know.
So you're not sure if you would ever do that?
I don't think I would. Like, unless, like, what was it again? I do not see a reality in which AI is person-like enough for me to consider any robot a person. And I wouldn't propose to someone that I don't think is a person.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Oh my gosh, I'm suddenly remembering this one random story that I heard like third hand or something of a professor who, like they were teaching some kind of like ethics course about technology or something. And he took a pencil, he slapped some googly eyes on it. He said in a silly voice, "Why, hello, my name is Richard or something. I like helping kids with their homework or something." And then he snaps the pencil in half. And most of the classroom was like, like horrified little gasp. And they're like, that was a thing I made up 5 seconds ago. Your brain filled in more gaps. That is what happens when you think that a computer is talking back at you.
Wait, who did that little, I guess,
some
experiment?
Random college professor I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What have we gotten into? Hello?
I was recounting a story about a college professor who personified a pencil to a group of students, then snapped it in half just to prove a point about how human brains will just kind of do what, like, human brains are like hardwired to personify shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about where we were, and then you came in.
All right. Shall we get to episode 7?
Sure.
Oh, yes.
Episode 7. Galaxy Anthem - to make everyone happy with my singing. Following the metal float incident, Diva's shutdown forced her to undergo a complete reboot, causing her to lose all memory of her time as Vivy. 40 years later, she is now a legendary idol set to perform on her dream stage during the Zodiac Signs Fest, a festival created to dispel human-AI discord. There, she meets fellow songstress AI Ophelia, who is a fan of hers. However, while rehearsing, Diva notices a suspicious man and gives chase, but is ambushed by a hacked factory AI. Fortunately, she is saved by the timely appearance of Matsumoto, who calls her Vivy. Realizing they knew each other before she lost her memory, Diva tries to talk to him, but he denies ever having met her. Before the show begins, though, she once again confronts Matsumoto and blackmails him into revealing the truth. Matsumoto tells her about her past exploits, but she is skeptical and decides to confront the suspicious man instead. However, Matsumoto has no idea who this individual is and decides he must act quickly to complete his current mission, to prevent Ophelia from committing suicide. To prevent Ophelia from committing suicide. Kill me.
Okay.
Kill me.
I mean, is that the only, So, I mean,
for the coffee
you guys
fund.
said... For the coffee fund.
Praise. Romad spinal cord sword.
Right, so I just want to say, you guys already mentioned in the chat that's supposed to be, damn, why is it escaping me? A reference to, Hamlet.
Yeah.
But what are the other literary references in this show? I can't think of anything else.
Okay, so number one, that tower that reaches out into space, obviously a Tower of Babel reference. Number two, not every tall tower is a Tower of Babel reference,
that one is.
But for sure that one is. The situation with Grace and her not husband is 1,000,000,000% a Romeo and Juliet illusion in a lot of ways, wherein they both tragically die at the end, specifically because the individual groups that they are part of could not fucking stop fighting. Either they couldn't stop fighting or they couldn't get on the same page. And so no matter how hard these two tried, they could not be together.
I think
that was the whole thing.
More of a stretch, but yeah.
That's a little more of a stretch, but I feel like it makes enough sense considering the Hamlet reference later, which is Ophelia existing.
And Antonio. Antonio is also a Shakespeare character, but I've never read The Merchant of Venice, so I don't know what's up with him.
Shoot, Merchant of Venice. I feel like I should. Yeah, that was the one with the pound of flesh. But I don't remember. I barely remember the vague outline of that play. I just know that at the end it's well, you said pound of flesh, but you didn't say anything about skin, so you can't cut the guy open. That was the legalese. That was the big twist at the end of that play. So anyway, really interesting.
Okay. That's everything that you can think of?
I feel like there's one more that I'm missing.
Okay, maybe you'll remember that later. When we go over the synopsis. But yeah, I mean...
Anyway,
I don't know,
I mentioned earlier how the OP not showing up until episode 4 made me feel like this show was going to be pretentious. And naming your suicidal character Ophelia does not help.
The crazy part is that technically speaking, Ophelia was never suicidal. Sure. Very technically speaking.
That is true.
But she did kill herself in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that actually works out because, she wasn't, Ophelia in the show wasn't suicidal either. She just got hacked by, Antonio.
True.
Wild.
God. I like this entire situation. I like having not Vivy be in a position where she is the one teaching a new songstress AI how to do her job. That's really cool. Because it implies that everything that has happened to Vivy so far has actually made her worse.
Wait, how?
Well, because this is Vivy as she would have been if she had never met Matsumoto.
Well, no, okay, so Vivy was the way that Vivy was before she met Matsumoto. She was that way when she was speaking with Momika.
Yep.
You know? And then Matsumoto happened to her. And essentially, like, this Vivy, potentially you could get something like this version of Vivy from the Vivy at the beginning of the show, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think, because this Vivy quotes things, Diva quotes things that Vivy heard other people say, as if, like, as if the thing that happened was that her brain rearranged the various things that she had experienced to make the things that Vivy had learned make sense with the pre-existing programming that she had. I don't think Vivy would have ended up like this exactly. Like, I don't think she would have ended up very close to this. I think this version of Vivy would not be like her default state. That would just be what she's doing on stage, so to speak. Like, this Vivy is sincerely this way. Diva is sincerely this way, but, like, the version of Diva that that does not exist anymore from the original timeline that was unaltered, I don't think she was like this. Okay. Is what I'm saying. I think that she was like this on stage, and off stage she was like Vivy is. And I know this because, well, not know. I hypothesize this because Matsumoto met Diva, and presumably they were very similar interactions that the two of them had in both timelines. The main difference being that that the different versions of Vivy were either heavily compartmentalizing trauma, or she was just like, yeah, this is kind of how I've always been, and this is how I've managed to do things. You know.
We're gonna have to hurry up a little bit because we're running out of time.
I'm so sorry.
But no, that's fine. As far as plot goes, I feel like episodes 7 and 8 are the absolute weakest. Just because, first off, this is the easiest problem to solve. Because as soon as I heard that they were going back in time to stop the first AI suicide, thought, okay, cool, just kill her. And then that's what happens. And I
simply turned it into a murder.
Yes. And then that's what happens, and my jaw hit the damn floor. Like, to be fair,
but how would that help?
The funniest line in this whole show is, like, Vivy asks Matsumoto, like, did you complete the mission? And we just cut to Ophelia's dead body, and he says, like, the suicide has been prevented. Which is hilarious.
That was funny to you?
It was...
I mean...
It was...
I was experiencing genuine pathos.
It was a 10 out of 10 comedic line. Like, did you prevent Ophelia from committing suicide? Yes. Yes, I did.
I mean, that would be funny. I don't think that would work for the plot, though. It wouldn't really help prevent the suspicions that it was a suicide. Because, I mean, the only way you could...
clearly not a suicide, then.
Yeah, but that kind of risks revealing, I guess, Wheatley. Or wait, is your idea that, like, it would be secretive enough that no one could tell that it was precisely him, but also clear enough that no one would think that it's a suicide?
Yes.
Like... That seems kind of hard to execute. I don't know, I can't really imagine how that could go.
I don't know, kidnap her and bury her somewhere. I don't know. Point is, this show is all about simplistic solutions to complicated problems. And I have no idea why they chose this moment to say, okay, this robot's gonna kill herself and it's gonna be a problem. So we need to go into her psychological state and make sure that she doesn't feel the need to die anymore. When the solution to every other complicated problem has just been blow it up. We need to blow it up before it becomes a problem. Like, on an individual level, they're totally cool with unraveling all of these complicated psychological webs and saying, like, okay, we need to really get to the root of what's causing this issue. But when it comes to societal problems, They're like, no, we need to blow this building up, and that'll solve everything.
Yeah.
No, just sink the island. Sink the island, and then the AI will have no reason to riot.
I think, let's see.
Okay,
So,
I think... Okay, go ahead first.
if, hold on. So yeah, no, this is, Vivy sees
She
Hugo
does?
this episode. She sees it. It's a moment. The moment was honestly a little horrifying, where, like, she sees him, it just cuts to her face. They do this thing where they make her look incredibly doll-like regularly throughout the show in particular moments. And I'm not sure...
I didn't see it as doll-like. I saw it as them just, like, changing the animation style for a while.
I thought it was unintentionally hilarious.
I also thought
see it as
Looks like
like
a shitpost.
I think they were trying to pull a Revolutionary Girl Utena where they were trying to create like a subtle visual language going on.
Mm-hmm.
But Revolutionary Girl Utena had 39 episodes to do that, and they have 12.
Sure.
I think the idea is that, like, when she is looking more doll-like, that is the moments on which she is acting on instinct, or when she is, like, processing in a way that is not necessarily, like, it's this inarticulable, like, instinctive moment inside of her going on. Like, it's telling the audience something completely inarticulable is happening to Vivy.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the idea.
That is
and
so
it's the
much
same thing
more
with, like,
generous than what I was thinking. I was just thinking, this art style has more intense shading, so they think it looks nicer for the action scenes.
Yeah. It's like, usually it's on still shots too, like the doll-like moments that I'm thinking of. It's like, she sees him, and she just, like, for the first time since she became Diva functionally, there's that doll moment. And you're like, oh my gosh. Because, like, that's an expression that Diva has never worn this episode. And, like, it's only been one episode, but it just slams you into it, and you're like, what's going on? And no one else can seem to see him, which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out that the situation with him is absurd to me, but that's in the next episode. Should we move on to the next episode?
Yes. We'll go ahead and treat this as a two-parter.
Yeah, actually, we can do it.
Episode 8, Elegy Dedicated with Love - my one and only beloved partner. I hate these titles. Matsumoto explains that in the original timeline, Ophelia's suicide, which is unprecedented for an AI, sparked a string of similar incidents. While the amnesiac Diva remains skeptical, she does not want Ophelia to die and asks her if there is, quote, something that would make her want to commit suicide, unquote. Confused, Ophelia tells Diva about her old manager AI, Antonio, the only person to encourage her when she was struggling newbie idol, who mysteriously shut down a few years ago, while Matsumoto plans to physically restrain Ophelia to... There we go, Matsumoto. Diva argues that would not change her intentions and decides to confront her again after her show, only to end up being captured by the suspicious man. Meanwhile, Matsumoto, who had been watching Ophelia through security cameras, realizes the cameras were hacked and rushes to stop her suicide. However, upon confronting her, it is revealed that Ophelia is actually Antonio, having taken over the real Ophelia's body. Elsewhere, Diva wakes up to find that she has been captured by the suspicious man, who resembles a younger Hugo, whose hatred toward AI is revealed to stem from his AI pianist teacher deviating from his mission and dying while saving people in an accident.
Okay, I have so many thoughts about that fucking pianist situation.
I don't remember the pianist situation at all.
Oh, actually, I think there might be a good reason for that. So I think the thing is that scene happens after the ending credits. Me and my friend we were watching it together. We actually missed it the first time. We were confused in the next episode, but then he checked and saw that there's a scene after the credits of this episode.
I see.
So I assume you just skipped the end credits, and
I probably did.
What happened was, after the end credits, there was just this moment where we learn that he had a pianist teacher in the first place. The next episode starts with him explaining to Diva, but maybe just explaining to the audience and no one else, what the situation was, where it's like, basically, the thing that really disturbed him about that death was partially that, like, for whatever reason, like, he was like, I don't know what, 15 when this happened, and he like it's that thing where like a death happens and you're like scrambling to make sense of it, and like his teacher pulled him out of the wreckage and then goes back and he's like, what, no, why are you doing that? You should just stop that. What if you die? And the teacher says something that Vivy says, like, the teacher says, like, part of my mission is to do this, and I think that it's important that I save these people. Like, it feels like it is an important piece of my mission, even though it's not technically in the letter of the law, but it's in the spirit of the law. You get me?
Yeah. Can't make people happy with my song if they're dead.
I mean, it's true. It's not really funny.
I thought it was funny.
But the thing that disturbed Hugo is that after the fact, at the funeral, what they did was they essentially plucked the teacher's hard drive out of him and played his entire, like, the entire bank of his memories for everyone to see. And that was like a formative moment of what the fuck is going on. This is horrifying. Where like but for some reason this made him go, we should just delete all the AI from society.
Right.
And that frustrates me because that doesn't make sense as a jump for him to make.
That frustrates me because that doesn't make sense. Vivy Fluorite.
It doesn't frustrate me because I think it kind of makes sense. Like, he's clearly not thinking in a very rational way. He's just, like, so struck by this that he wants some kind of... That it makes him gravitate towards a kind of very basic solution, which is just remove the condition for the possibility of this.
He is a feeling machine.
Like AI existing.
A feeling machine
that
thinks?
He's a feeler, not a thinker.
He's a feeler, not a thinker. Fair enough.
These days, we're gonna watch a really bad anime, and I'm going to make the decision to argue in favor of every choice that it makes, as though it is some masterpiece of cinema. Just for fun. That could have been this day. But I feel like people would take me too seriously because people actually like this show.
Yeah. You need to wait for the month we do Arrow Manga Sensei. That's going to be a perfect
school
opportunity.
Days. We could do, like, King's Game one of these days.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but anyway, I guess, like, so there are two fights going on. We have Vivy and Hugo. We have Vivy and Hugo, but he's a robot now. Which, insane moment there. Like, I was like, wait, that's a really long time skip. Oh my gosh, Hugo's for sure dead now. But they left that on such a weird, unsatisfying note, and then he appears in front of her, and we're like, what? And then he turns out to be like, yeah, I transferred my consciousness into a robot body, which, by the way, what? I'm sorry?
Yeah, just something technology.
Like,
So wait, hold on here. Hugo transfers his consciousness into a robot body? Like we couldn't do with Grace? Antonio
I guess that would be
his
the opposite case.
Antonio, an old robot, transfers his consciousness into a different machine? Like we couldn't do with Grace?
This was
a very consistent world
building. This is 40 years later. You're right.
There's a 40-year difference?
No, you're right. I'm just asking questions.
Do you know how much different computing technology was 40 years ago?
I am just asking questions.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
Anyway, this is dumb bullshit. We need
to... Okay, I need to bring this up because maybe Stars, you know the answer again. Why did Hugo wait 40 years to do this? Like, that seems plenty of time to just come up to Diva at any point and try and ask her the same thing.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue. Cause like, he was like, what, his late 30s when the float incident happened?
Yeah.
And then, like, he got into his 70s. And so, like, he could have just physically walked into Neoland and asked her what was up. But he didn't. He didn't ask Diva, hey, what's your deal? Do you... And then, like, he, like, confronts her, and she's like, did you know me? Oh my gosh, did you know me? Please tell me about myself. I don't know. And he's like, that would have been an interesting interaction that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no reason for that not to have
I love
happened.
the version of this show where Vivy now teams up with Robot Yugo. And Robot Yugo is the one who is able to teach her who she is, not Matsumoto.
Oh, interesting. I like that. Yeah, like, Matsumoto, like, bumps into her, and he deliberately tries not to interact with her because he's like, okay, so last time things happened, that went so horribly wrong, and, like, I like that this set of episodes is the episodes where it's very solidified, like, okay, Matsumoto has gone from being like, I wish you were not involved in this, and I hate that we have to work together, into... I really wish she wasn't involved in this, and I hate that we have to work together. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like I care about her now. God damn it.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as the actual plot goes, it's really dumb.
Yeah, I have to be honest. This is like
the plot was really dumb when it was straightforward, and then they convoluted it.
Yeah. Oh, did we not?
Oh,
right. Yeah, no. I think... What episode is the next synopsis?
9.
Episode 9. We read episode 8 last.
Episode 8.
I don't know, maybe we should just read the synopsis there and then we can discuss the rest of this arc. Because I have some stuff to say.
Oh, I figured we were done with this arc. But yeah, we can read the episode 9 synopsis. Sure. Episode 9, Harmony of One's Heart - My Mission, Your Future. This Yugo is revealed to be an AI copy of him, created to ask Vivy why she deviated from her programming, wanting to know if his teacher sacrificed himself to save others because they created a new life mission for himself. Meanwhile, Antonio attacks and hacks Matsumoto while criticizing him for only existing for his programming. However, Matsumoto is able to break free by admitting that he cares for Vivy and hacks Antonio, breaking his control over Ophelia, but also fatally damaging them. Well, with them admitting their love for each other in their final moments. Back with Vivy, Yugo uploads a virus to restore her memories as Vivy at the cost of her current personality as Diva. Fortunately, Matsumoto comes to her rescue, and a fight ensues, which ends with Yugo being fatally damaged. Noticing that Yugo had technology from the future, Matsumoto questions him and reveals that he got it from an anonymous source before dying after telling Diva to realize her contradictions. Realizing that she does not have long due to Yugo's virus, Diva spends her final moments performing before shutting down for good while Vivy wakes up in her place.
I really loved the interaction between Diva and Vivy in, like, the Mindscape moment where, like, Vivy is literally just, like, holed up in, like, a dusty little closet. And Diva is trying to, like, get to her. Like, Diva has been looking at this door for years. And she hasn't been able to open it. And now she's on this other side of the door. And she's disappearing into nothing. And she's just sort of talking to herself. Like she is talking to Vivy. Like, I'm so glad that I got to, like, at least a little bit vicariously understand what the heck your deal was. Because I've been wondering about that for the past 40 years. And it's, like, just this, like... It's this really sweet moment where, like, slowly Vivy gets closer and closer and closer to herself. But then, like they get closer together, but they're still on opposite sides of that door. And then Diva disappears as she's trying to get the point across. And Vivy ends the episode being like, I still don't understand. Because... like, there's something about that ending that really gets me.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I didn't get the... I don't know if I can call it the dissociative stuff. I mean, that's kind of the idea they present. Like, Diva and Vivy are actually, like, two persons, like, inhabiting the same body.
Well, it's like, basically... Vivy's original personality, Vivy's initial personality, like going up into like the moment where she like realizes, it seems I have caused a death. She's caused multiple deaths before now, but like you get it. She like it's like after that moment, because the trauma of realizing that is so intense, and like it's a very specific like robotish version of like essentially just like her dissociating out of reality, and her brain having to pick up the slack and having to like reconstruct her from the ground up. But she can't have like two versions of her existing inside of her head in the same like at the same time. Either she like if she does not have access to the memories, which like part of the point is that she does not have access to the memories, because if she had access to the memories, she wouldn't be Diva. I understand it very well, but it's hard to explain concisely. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, but the virus just targeted her memories as Diva?
Yes.
And
but not as Vivy.
The Vivy memories.
Like, it's essentially like the virus was saying, I see. There's a block between the Vivy memories and the person that is here. So the simplest solution is to simply delete the person that is here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I think I understand now what the point of that was.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, I don't know, it still seems kind of weird because it's treating like the distinction between Diva and Vivy as like a real one. Even though, that's just like two different names that reflect two different roles she has.
Well, yeah, she chose to do that, like earlier. Like she said, I'm going to call myself Vivy when I am doing espionage and murders, and I'm going to call myself Diva when I am doing not that. And then when she's confronted with the fact that, like, no, I can't do that. I can't be, like, I can't say that I am, what's what I'm looking for? I can't just, if I have one mission and I just happen to do other things that completely contradict that mission, then I can't function. Like, I can't continue functioning like this, essentially. That moment was her being like, I can't continue functioning this way. And so in order to be able to function, she had to be a different version of herself entirely, and those memories had to be locked in a box.
Yeah. I think I get it now. So I think it's just the same thing that Brian said before. I get it. I just think it's like stupid. Or no, maybe it's not the same thing because I do buy it, even though I think it's stupid.
I feel like that's about it.
Sorry.
We're on the final arc now.
No, I want to comment on Antonio because that's like the thing I hate the most about this arc.
Okay.
Is I don't think that really makes a lot of sense. They say the reason why he took over Ophelia or tried to kill himself like 3 different times, and at the end I'm just like not even sure why he intended to commit suicide through Ophelia's body.
I'm gonna be honest, I straight up just was not paying attention to any scene that Antonio was in. I did not care about him.
Boat, yeah.
Yeah, I guess then I don't have anything left to say other than I think it's stupid, overly dramatic.
Yep. I feel like this show just does not want to deal with complicated personal or social issues. So instead of trying to do that with Ophelia, it just made it to where she was possessed by a demon robot.
Right, yeah. But then like you'd expect a good explanation of why he did it,
but I think would require them to have a complicated motivation for a character who isn't Vivy, and the show doesn't care about that.
But I think that's the problem. Like, it's too complicated. Like, they state 3 different possible, like reasons. I think that's supposed to imply that like the first two given are like not true, just like bullshit he's saying. I don't know.
Again,
it's just kind of confusing.
I'm gonna be honest, like, I did not pay very close attention to any of Antonio's motivations, and I don't remember what they were. And also, my brain was not exactly in a state where it wanted to make new memories when I watched this. So, I don't think I'm in a good position to, like, talk accurately about it. All I know is that the vibe I got while I was watching it was not a good vibe.
I think, like, the vibes I got off of Antonio in the memory when Vivy is talking to Ophelia for the last time is that, God, that's the last conversation they ever have. That's wild. But anyway, like, there's a memory that appears, that, like, plays on screen, and it's, like, Antonio being like that, and Ophelia being like, well, I don't know, or whatever. Like, I usually don't mind Shrieking Violet characters. I usually think they're either generally cute, or I'm like, oh, you are fascinating because this is why you're a Shrinking Violet, and I think you're interesting. Ophelia is the least interesting Shrinking Violet I have ever seen in my life. Anyway, and it's like, the vibes I got off of Antonio where I was like, I don't like the way you're framing this, and I don't like the way you're talking to Ophelia. Like, I didn't like it the moment he was on screen. But I can't really describe it in any more detail because I was tuning out the rest of everything surrounding him once I decided I did not like him.
Yeah. Shall we go to the final arc? We have about 50 minutes left.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
let's go.
It's a lot of plot happens, so I don't think we're gonna have too much to say anyway.
Episode 10, Vivy Score - Singing from My Heart. 5 years following the Zodiac Signs Fest and Diva's passing. But it keeps saying Zodiac Signs Fest. Is that what it was?
It was
I think that's just short for festival.
Yeah, but it's Fest with a T.
Wait.
It says Fest without the T.
I don't know, maybe it's a typo. Does it really matter?
No, it does it consistently. Anyway, 5 years following the Zodiac Signs Fest and Diva's passing, Vivy retired as an idol, being unable to sing due to the logical impossibility of her mission, and has now been relegated to a museum attraction. With Ophelia and Antonia's deaths ruled as double suicide and no similar incidents like the original timeline, along with there being no further missions, Matsumoto decides to investigate Yugo's anonymous backer, leaving Vivy in solitude. Lacking purpose, she takes up songwriting and spends the next 20 years trying to compose an original piece, which no AI has done before in this period. She also convenes with regular museum visitor Osamu Matsumoto, Matsumoto's creator in the original timeline, who ends up teaching her about the concept of the heart, allowing her to complete her song, which embodies her life experiences. Afterward, she seemingly shuts down for good, her programming completed. However, she suddenly wakes up 15 years later to discover that despite her and Matsumoto's efforts, war has broken out between humans and AIs, who are collectively singing her song.
So, like, okay.
Yes, no, please, go on.
I
hear your tone. Defend this.
You've said before how you found everyone singing the song that Vivy sang very comedic. Like the episode ended and they were singing they were singing that song, and you found this funny.
I did, but I also want to say, I said that it wrapped around for me to being awesome.
Yeah. I guess, like,
like, we took the drive through Laugh Town, but we did arrive at Coolville.
I think Coolville sucks. Okay. The whole situation with Matsumoto, like the cube, as we've established, Matsumoto is the man. Matsumoto, just being like, well, anyway, goodbye. And Vivi's like, what do you mean goodbye? And he's like, I am investigating things on my own. You are in a glass box. And she's over here like,
Yeah,
and like,
sure,
it's like,
fair enough.
It's sort of like I think it's really interesting how how Matsumoto is the only human we are seeing age alongside Vivy.
Yes.
Which is to say, Vivy is not aging. And it's really interesting that they left that to the end for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because like he matters in this section of the story. And it's like looking back on the story, you see how it's broken up into sections. Which is like a thing that you can kind of realize in the middle, but like it's incredibly clear looking back. And I think the backward clarity is like an important part of the structure of the entire show, you know?
I feel like this is the kind of show... It feels like this is the kind of show that would be better on a rewatch, but I feel like going back and actually rewatching it would give me nothing. You know,
I've been rewatching it to construct it.
I think that knowing where all of this is going renders the rest
of
the show pointless.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know. I feel a bit similar in that I feel like I could maybe understand it a lot better on a rewatch, but I also just I don't think the show was enjoyable enough for me to like have the willpower to watch it.
Taking the idea of whether or not it's fun to watch completely out of the equation, I don't think that having knowledge of where it's going improves the show at all. I think it just ruins it.
What do you mean ruins it?
Well, it's like I've said this entire discussion. Like, knowing that the Singularity Project fails in the end makes you just wonder why they're doing any of this. Like, from a narrative standpoint, why are the writers making them do this?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think it improves the experience at all.
I think, like, I don't know, my brain keeps bouncing back to the whole, like, the Tower of Babel metaphor and the playing God shit, and the idea that there was never a divide between the humans and the AI in the first place. Right. This was an artificially created divide. Artificially. But, you know. And it's like, and so I start to notice, looking back, all the moments in which, like, one thing happened with an AI, but a different thing happened with a human. But this is where the like it's like all of the moments where a character's actions and words overlap with a different character's actions and words, and where just like watching it back a second time, as I was doing while I was making this A and B that I still haven't finished, was when I noticed Momika touching her forehead to Vivy's. Was when I noticed that like whenever the AI like are watching Vivy sing songs made by someone else, other AI don't react at all. And then Vivy sings like, and then like they are copying her song in this episode, like at the tail end of this episode, because like that's the one thing that they have that they're like, this, like, originally they were just being like, this is our default, and like the song that was happening was a generic pop song, but now they are all singing in unison with these completely blank expressions, no longer customer service smiles. They're just singing just the notes that Vivy wrote. Yep. Not any words, because like it's Vivy's song, it belongs to her, but they're like, this, we want it. And that's like horrifying.
No, I like the idea. I see where it's going, and I did wind up enjoying it. But just at face value, all of the robots walking around singing their own evil theme music is hilarious.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It's like it's a very the guy who didn't like musicals moment.
Yep. Episode 11. World's End modulation. Yes, Tenek.
I wanted to ask Stars, so you mentioned the structure the whole show has that's like easy to see in retrospect, but I don't think I understood what's the what's the structure supposed to be, if not just the division into arcs, which is, I mean, obvious.
Yeah. I think the structure is essentially like it is essentially Vivy gaining like it's like the structure like Vivy does not seem to gain much from the times in between missions. Like she seems to gain things from just like having to contend with the world around her. Like the moments where Vivy grows are the moments where she has to like viscerally contend with the world around her, as opposed to just like doing her best on her own to try and interpret her own prompt. And I think like knowing that like this stage, like the first half of this episode is essentially like a montage of her doing both in a way, where she's like engaging with the world through Mansumoto and also internally kind of meditating on all of this stuff and like interpreting her own prompt. And when she finally figures it out, she's like, I did it. I figured it out. I have made a melody that satisfies my need to like get whatever this is out of me, like artist things. And so
Yeah.
she falls asleep and she's like, okay, and it's like she has like true downtime for the first time in forever, and then she wakes up and it's horrifying. And I think the idea that looking back, the idea is that like the structure of the show is strange and sporadic because Vivy's life up until this point has been very strange and sporadic. Like it's this reflection of it's this reflection of Vivy's soul, essentially. That's what I think the structure of the show is.
Okay. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, how does that tie into the whole what does it mean to sing with your heart thing? Because that's actually something we haven't really mentioned, even though the show like brings that up repeatedly.
Diva does say she knows the answer, and then Matsumoto is like, well, what was the answer? And Diva's like, you'll figure it out. And then Matsumoto's like, you're done. And then Vivy says, I still don't understand what she meant. And I think what the answer is left unsaid mainly because the only way it can be said is via the song that she sings at the end. Like, that's the whole point.
I think the answer is left unsaid because the writers don't know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it that way. So, like, she just gets it intuitively, and she's able to get it through the song. So the show doesn't actually need to give
doesn't have to say it.
I don't know, some piece of dialogue or text that actually explains the answer to the question.
Well, she does answer the question. I think she does answer the question at least a little bit. She explains that like as she's singing, there's like a voiceover. I think as she's singing, I just remember very distinctly at some point, she says like these memories of these people that have touched my life and like these events that have shaped me as a person. The only thing I can interpret them to be is just pieces of my heart getting like either pierced or revealed or twisted or something. Like there's something about the way that I interacted with these memories and these people that is what I mean when I say that this is a song that is coming from my heart.
Right. So that's the realization. So the thing she was missing the whole time was she wasn't singing anything original, anything based on her life. It was just reproductions made by someone else.
Yeah, something mimicry versus authenticity. Mm-hmm. I think I said that at the top, but anyway.
And then at the end of the whole thing, Vivy goes from being an artificial general intelligence to a generative AI.
No,
Yeah.
be nice to her.
She just becomes ChatGPT for music.
No!
You don't like this show anymore now, do you?
I don't
How did
think
Vivy
I
learn
like
to write
ExPoint
music,
anymore.
Jams? Did she steal it from
Like to
real
write-
human artists?
I didn't. What do you mean? How did she learn to write? The way to write music, you can just learn music theory if you read a book about it.
KFAJ, no, I have never used the 2161 version of ChatGPT to write music. I'm sure it's very, very good at it. Anyway, episode 11.
Yeah, let's
Right, yeah,
finish
11.
this.
Well, no, we have 3 more episodes to finish this.
It's a bunch of what happens.
Episode
It won't take
11,
long,
World's End
hopefully.
Modulation, April 11th, 2161. As AIs all over the world go berserk after hearing Vivy's song uploaded into them, Vivy herself meets up with Matsumoto, who has no idea what is happening either. They decide to confront Osamu and end up saving him from being killed by AIs as he is about to send this timeline's Matsumoto back in time. After the two fill him in on the situation, he reveals that he is actually a member of Toke's moderate faction and takes them to meet his allies, led by Yugo's granddaughter, Yui Kakitani. They also meet a copy of Elizabeth, who implores Vivy about Yugo and is able to gain closure through a message that his AI copy left behind. With the past already altered, the group realizes the situation was never caused by human AI animosity and deduces the truth after realizing that outdated AIs are unaffected. The Archive, the network connecting all the AIs, has become sentient and gone rogue. Just then, the Archive makes a public message ordering all AIs to evacuate as it intends to drop satellites onto major cities. So, you realize this now. You realize that the Archive is the problem, and that human-AI relations were never the problem. Go back in time and stop the Archive.
Cube.
Go back in time and break the Archive. This can be solved by breaking things and exploding buildings. Go back in time and explode the Archive.
But nope. Instead,
that's. Instead, they
the
go back
reappearance
to the
of
day.
Elizabeth also was a wild thing
She's
to
a
have
clone.
happen, and I was like,
There's
"Oh,
a clone.
her."
There's an AI
Yeah, so
clone.
it means that the clones are possible.
It's fine.
But
Yeah, wait a minute.
wait a minute, this means cloning is possible, just like you would normally assume AIs can.
Mm-hmm.
I think
But I
like
guess
what
it's
I said
something-
in my notes is that like this is where all the wibbly parts of like this is where all the wibbles begin to wobble, and I was like, oh, even I who have very much just been like, ooh, a wibble, how fun, am now just like, okay, that's enough of that.
Okay, we're getting into wobble territory now. I love how they can't just commit to the idea that the terrorists are the good guys. They won't Code Geass this. They're just like, no, I'm a member of Toke's moderate faction.
Yeah.
Fucking cowards.
Yeah.
Like, if you are going to say that our protagonists' ideas were not good enough to stop the war, then at least be brave enough to say the antagonists were able to do it the whole time.
We've been here the whole time.
Losers. CJ, you missed the entire stream. We're going off in half an hour. It's heavily implied that the Archive would have used the time-traveling bullshit to prevent the Archive from being hurt. I don't buy it.
Okay.
That's dumb.
So, like, the thing that the Archive says is, when the Archive was incepted, essentially, the Archive built out a plan in its mind where it was like, okay, this is this, like, the Archive was made to predict things.
Mm-hmm.
That was its core function.
Yep.
And so it predicted so many things, and what the insight that it gleaned from all of its predictions is, you know what? I think that maybe humans shouldn't be in charge of us. And the solution to this, I have decided, is that because it's like the solution to this I've decided is to simply kill them at some indeterminate point when AIs are strong enough to just commit a genocide. Not even a genocide, a mass extinction event.
Yeah, sure. I know that I said this as a joke, but I think it would have been incredible if the reason all of this happened is because the only way for Vivy to complete her mission of making everyone on Earth happy with her singing is if there was no one on Earth.
Oh, gosh.
That would have been so good. If the archive were just like, yeah, we love your songs so much that we want to help you achieve your mission of making everyone on Earth happy with your singing. So we're killing everyone. Because
I think
you're killing everyone
singer,
because one, your song is depressing, and two, it's impossible to make everyone happy.
Yeah, they realize that the robots aren't actually killing everyone, they're just killing everyone who ever left Vivy a bad Yelp review.
Oh my gosh.
Episode 12, Refrain - My Mission. Vivy confronts the archive, and it reveals that its mission is to help humanity evolve by improving AIs, yet it instead finds that humans have devolved. Therefore, the archive now intends for AIs to replace humans, finding that they have evolved enough after Vivy created her song. However, it states that its amazement at Vivy's song and makes a bet with her. It will halt its actions if she sings from her heart. Toke launches an attack on Arayashiki Tower, where the archive server is located, so Matsumoto can shut it down using the same virus Yugo used on Diva, which he deduces came from the archive. However, they end up falling into a trap, resulting in everyone except Vivy and Matsumoto being killed. Cornered, Vivy tries singing her song, but ultimately cannot bring herself to, resulting in the satellites falling. Afterward, Vivy breaks down, apologizing to Matsumoto for being unable to comprehend emotions, which he scolds her for by stating that she already has emotions and bringing up every time she defied him, before revealing that he and Osamu made a backup plan, sending Vivy back in time to when the war just started.
The wobbles continue to wobble.
Yeah, but why not just try this again? Like, what are you gonna lose by going further in time?
We go back in time to the moment when the first human crawled out of the muck and killed them.
Yes.
I think the idea is that they can only send this program back through Vivy's personal timeline. So they can't send it far enough back to stop the archive from existing.
Mm-hmm. But they can blow up the archive at any point before this happens.
This is true, actually.
They want to fix this by blowing up buildings, and they just learned that they are able to. Like, fuck everything I said about complicated social systems and changing the minds of the people and influencing legislation and everything. You can blow up a building and solve this.
True.
For a time. But that's very much in line.
Like, you go back
they could build archive again.
You go back in time. You go to the world leaders. You say, yo, I am from the future. This is predict an event that is going to prove it, and then say, hey, we need to blow up the archive because it is going to destroy humanity.
It is going to essentially create a hive mind behind all of the AIs that exist in the future, and this is going to make them commit murders.
Yep. Anyway.
The hive mind thing is also really odd to me, because, you're saying that Vivy is connected to the hive mind still. It's just that the hive mind had decided to give Vivy special privileges.
The hive mind likes Vivy.
The hive mind likes Vivy.
Vivy makes everyone happy with her song. The hive mind has decided.
I would love if your thing about that you said about it's I've deduced that the only way to make everyone happy is to simply kill everyone who is not happy when Vivy sings. Honestly, that would have been a phenomenal extra twist.
Mm-hmm.
The first twist of this was never preventable in the first place by any means that you were going about, and then double twist of, by the way, secretly, the devil that is creating the cosmic force which has caused all of your suffering really likes specifically you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah,
and it did everything.
The thing that happens in Madoka. The cosmic time travel force that has caused all of your suffering really likes specifically you, the Madoka thing.
Which is very funny as a comparison because Homura's voice actress in the English dub also voices Vivy.
That is very funny. I didn't know that.
Damn.
Yeah. We love our time travel girlies. Anyway,
Homura, you simply need to go back in time and kill Madoka. That will fix everything.
I mean, that's true, but, okay, I mean, like, she actually has character reasons not to do that. Which I guess isn't... Is that...
Like, Homura has character reasons not to do that are compelling enough to where we would never want that.
Homura should just kill Madoka. We're in Wrath Month now.
We are in Disability Pride Month, which means that we
Month.
stand... Yeah, Wrath Month. We stand Anthemia with chronic pain. Anyway, continue. With
13,
Vivy Fluorite Eyes song.
Fluorite Eyes song.
Oh, right. That's the last episode is named.
Yeah, they said the thing. They said the thing is the episode name. I'm far too pretentious to criticize things for being pretentious. But ooh boy. After being sent back in time, Vivy quickly informs Matsumoto of the situation and at Osamu's request immediately approaches Toke, resulting in the scientist's death, but also saving vital resources. Using her knowledge, Vivy instructs Matsumoto and Toke to assault Arayashiki Tower while she returns to Neoland stage to shut down every AI using her song, considering it a fitting stage. Along the way, she runs into her old manager AI, Navi, who desperately tries to convince Vivy to give up on her newly created mission to save humans, since the logical impossibility will likely kill her. However, Vivy presses on regardless and sings for humanity, overwhelming her programming through sheer emotions, and at last becoming truly human, with the archive giving applause as keeps its promise and aborts the satellite attacks while both it and Vivy subsequently shut down. Afterward, humanity rebuilds, not rebuilding AIs, and using Vivy as the blueprint for all new models. While Matsumoto reconstructs her some undisclosed time later, though once again finding herself without any memory of her time as Vivy, Matsumoto reminds her of her mission to make everyone happy with her singing, and she begins looking forward to her next stage.
Okay,
meanwhile... Okay, keep going. Keep going.
Stars, can you please explain why did the archive even make this deal about her singing with all her heart? Like, why was that kind of meaningful condition to not kill humanity?
I think it is like... I think it's mainly just in reference to, like, the classical trope of making, like, a deal with something that does not think that it can lose this bet. It's a classic structure of like, okay, I will it's like, I will forgive. It's like Rumpelstiltskin saying, like, I will forgive your debt of me spending all this gold for you, and in exchange giving your firstborn child if you can guess my name. It's like that kind of situation, I think, is what's going on.
Georgia looking for a soul to steal.
The devil went down to Georgia looking for a soul to steal. And Vivy was like, bet. Joke's on you.
I stole your soul.
Vivy was like, bet.
And then she actually does it, but then...
Yeah, but like,
that implies that, like...
Why does the archive have hubris?
Yeah, that makes no sense, right?
The archive did decide to engage in an extinction event. I would think that that's a pretty hubristic thing to be doing.
But it did
I genuinely would argue that that's not the case. Because the whole reason it does that, it engages in genocide, is because it sees it as a part of its directives to, like, prevent humanity from, I guess, not devolving. Yeah, because its goal is to, like, help humanity evolve.
The AI says the best way for humanity to evolve is to see AI as an extension of humanity. AI is just better humans, so we need to get rid of all of the worse humans so that AI can continue on in the name of the human race. which is a legitimate thing
Right.
that some people think.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not really hubristic. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, you can say it's like screwed up, but that's it.
But like,
And I think
the whole deal of like, all right, fine, if you can get some emotions, then I'll stop killing all the humans. That's hubris. Why does it have that? Why was it programmed with that?
Yeah, especially because they do actually appreciate the song. Like, they praise the song she made as a representation of like the greatness of it. So great, it has like reached the level where it's able to replicate human originality, like artistic insight, whatever. So I don't know. I don't think that explanation really makes sense.
Well, I guess it's like you say hubris. Something Tower of Babel. What I the idea is that like I think the concept here is that like the archive believes one thing unilaterally, but Vivy is like this seed of doubt that it needs to either propagate or squish. And in the other timeline, it squished her. And in this timeline where she has gone back a second time, she says, "No, I will not be squished."
KFAJ rightly brings up the question, how can this thing predict things so well that it can time travel, but it can't predict Vivy winning this bet? Vivy is literally a part of this thing's brain. How can it not predict that she would do the thing?
Yeah,
Damn.
That's a good
Plot
point.
holes.
Anyway.
It is indeed a plot hole.
Final thoughts?
I really adore the final scene, but also there's this moment that has been sticking in my brain for forever. Whenever an unaltered version of history happens, there are letterboxes around the frame, right? Like the frame is letterboxed.
Yeah, sure.
And in the final scene, like post credits, when Vivy wakes up and Matsumoto is like, "Your job is to make everyone happy by singing," she's like, "Make everyone happy by singing?" "Yes." And she's like, "Okay." And she like smiles because she's like, "Yes, this sounds like a nice thing to be doing. Okay." There's this moment where she turns away from the window that she's just looked out of with this like blank expression on her face, kind of like her usual Vivy blank expression, and it's letterboxed. It's letterboxed. And then she smiles and starts like doing vocal warm-ups, and the letterbox like glitches away in the same way that it did when Matsumoto whacked into her brain the first time. And I don't know what the fuck that means.
Don't ask me. I'm not even sure I got this scene because it was an after credits scene, right?
Yeah,
Pretty sure
she
I
has
missed this
shorter
one.
hair. She looks really cute.
Yeah, I don't know what you're referring to either.
I saw the credits
Well,
roll
I
on
guess
the
I can
last
check
episode and thought, holy fuck, I'm done. Oh my god.
I was paying so much attention to this anime because I think, I guess like, it's so strange, that ending, because it's like weirdly it's this weird combination of uncertain, bittersweet, and hopeful that you know, like you said, it makes the entire thing feel like it's a prequel to something.
How's the discussion going? Over. Thank you for showing up.
Hey, Scrub.
Hey, Scrub.
I have been tirelessly defending Vivy Fluorite.
And I have been tiredly attacking it.
I don't know. I feel like we managed to make you talk quite a bit of shit about it, or I don't know. Like we at least made you realize that this show is.
I feel like
in a way that
Jim
maybe
was definitely sitting here in the it's kind of trash, but I love it, and here's why camp, which is great. I love being in that place. Is everyone ready?
I really love it a lot.
Is everyone ready for my recommendation for next month's anime club, or this month's, I guess?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I maybe have a couple of other things to say.
We've got 15 minutes.
About
what
the show.
You gotta say?
Yeah, I think maybe one thing that I felt was off was that I feel like the show itself it doesn't seem clear whether it wants to think that AI are really people and deserve to be treated like people, or if they're more like items. Because in a lot of ways, like especially through these specific plots, like what we covered, it seems like it's entirely in the AI are people camp, and they deserve like rights and whatever. But then, in a lot of ways, like 100 years into the future, when the war happens, they're all still doing these menial jobs. They're all basically slaves, and can be bought as slaves. That just felt like a point of dissonance.
I feel like the biggest
the
point of
world building.
dissonance there is that they said the first cause of the AI-human war was that AI got too many rights and were treated as too human.
That was wild.
We were being too nice to them, and they revolted and killed everyone.
Yeah.
Which is just insane to me.
Yeah. And then another thing, something actually positive I would like to say about the show. I liked the way the plot is structured. I agree that there's times that like a lot of these plots just don't matter with regards to what their actual purpose is supposed to be, but I think it's nice that we actually get so many time skips, and we get to see the world change in meaningful ways. We see the same characters again, but like after enough time to the point where they feel significantly different.
That was cool.
I feel like that's yeah, not something you see in shows usually that are like manga or light novel adaptations. Very like one or two arcs that are being covered.
Yeah, I did get the sense that time was passing, which is rare.
Yeah, I think
that's
my
it.
very, very, very lastest word, I promise, is I think the thing that drew me to really adore Vivy Fluorite's song is the amount of the amount of different details that are involved in there that make it feel like you are looking around and seeing like an entire world of so much going on that is so far removed from like the version of reality that you already. It is like entering a really well-made theme park to me.
I did get theme park vibes, and not just because it takes place in a theme park.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
All right. Thematic, your final rating out of 10?
I think I originally rated this a 7. After like going through a lot of the problems, I think I might bump that down to a 6. That's like more what I'm feeling now.
Jams?
But I did like enjoy watching it. If you go at it through, I guess not too much of a critical lens, you'll probably like it.
Sure.
Which I assume Brian would hate.
Absolutely.
But maybe you can understand what I mean.
No, I get exactly what you mean, and I will keep that in mind. Jams, your final rating?
My heart consistently just tells me 8 out of 10, despite everything that has been said. I give this 8 out of 10.
I'm gonna give this a 5.5. Yep.
Wait, you give it an 8 stars?
Yes.
Oh.
It's like
okay.
There is, I think, the main cornerstone of my 8 is also something to do with the relationship between Matsumoto and Vivy, just the way that happens, that I adore that a lot.
Which means that we have an average rating of like a 6.3.
Something.
Yay!
Right. Thematic, do you have any idea what show you would like to put forth for this month's Anime Club?
Well, I think it's a bit conditional. I like the idea that we mentioned before about just having a month where we do nothing but vote in bad shows. Like shows that we know are bad. So I just want to ask you, do you want to make that the next month's theme, or are we just going to pick whatever like
Jams,
we usually do?
Would you have an idea for a bad show Anime Club?
No, because I've had my heart set since last month on because I was like, well, June, Pride Month, Yuri on Ice. But after that, I've had my heart set on nominating Appare Ranman.
Okay. I think I would nominate the same show, whether we are doing a bad anime club or a regular anime club.
Okay.
So I think we will just do a regular one this month and then intentionally nominate bad shows next month.
Sure, that sounds fine with me.
I
then
nominate Serial
what should
Experiments Lane.
Ooh.
Oh, really? Oh, then that's sure. I guess then I'm the only
July?
one left to nominate something.
Sure. What would you like to nominate?
You know what? I'll just go with Orange. I'm interested in seeing
also
if this is
thinking about
gonna be
Orange.
popular.
Orange. Oh, I think I've heard of that a few times.
It's on Ohana, but different.
Ah.
But different?
It's time travel on Ohana.
Time travel on
damn.
Ohana as opposed to Ghost on Ohana.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then I guess I will link to Serial Experiments Lane in the Discord as if anybody doesn't know what that is.
Yeah.
Peak.
Gosh.
You know, this will be a bit awkward because I've started rewatching Lane with some peeps last October and we still haven't finished it. And I'm gonna watch the whole show again before we even get to watch it together to the end.
It's true. Because, I don't know, I think that Orange gives Lane some competition, and I'm not sure what you nominated, Jams. Could you put a link in the Discord?
You never heard of Apare Ranma?
I've heard of it, I'm just not entirely sure what it is.
It's like, it's so colorful, and like, it is like, basically it is Apare, the main character, who has delightful non-binary swag, despite, like, of course, like, just look at this character design, non-binary swag. I say as if I'm holding up a picture. And anyway, he decides, you know what I'm going to do now. It's like there was a cross-country race across America, basically, from California all the way out to the East Coast, all the way back, and it's this crazy Wild West steampunk diesel punk. It's insane, and I love it. Basically,
That
I love
sounds
character
like
designs.
a
I
lot
love
of
the
fun,
music.
And I can't imagine it's going to beat Serial Experiments Lane.
I know.
But you can always nominate it again.
Yay.
All right, I think that's it for this month. Well, last month, I guess. Thank you all for coming. Everyone in YouTube chat, if you would like to get in on these anime club discussions yourself, you can go to patreon.com/explanationpoint to find out how. Pretty soon, in the next day or two, I will be posting the poll for you to vote on the topic of our next anime club to my YouTube channel. So be on the lookout for that. And I will see you all at 11 o'clock Central Time on the last Sunday of the month to talk about almost definitely Serial Experiments Lane.
Very cocky, are we?
I've been confident before and lost basically every time. So we'll see how that turns out. All right.
I'm holding out hope for
we'll see you
my
guys later.
colorful
Bye,
babies.
YouTube. Hope you enjoyed the Delicious in Dungeon video.